And Monday morning is here. Hello, everybody. We are missing a voice yet again. I'm Ben Higgins. To my left is our executive producer and imaging director, Paul Reindl. Good morning, Paulie.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing better than apparently Stephen Woods is, although I don't know that anyone's going to believe me because I have no credibility anymore when it comes to telling people that Woodsy is sick. Because last time, of course, a week ago Friday, he made me lie and say that he was sick on the air and tell all the tier ones a massive fib so he could go surprise his dad for his 70th birthday, and took the family on a secret flight to Austin and then got there. And since his dad and mom listened to the show every single morning, he knew if I was honest, they would know something was up. So the only way we could figure out how to get around that was for you and I to play along and pretend that Woods was sick last Friday. But this time, I do believe he is actually under the weather and sick, and will not be joining us for the remainder of the program. So it's you and me, Paulie. Good morning.
I thought about that. Good morning, Ben. I thought about that as well, driving in. I'm like, nobody's going to believe us. Not a single person is going to believe us that we woke up to a text from our old pal Woods at, just before 4 a.m. And the text actually says, fellas, hope it's not leaving you in lurch, but I've got a cluster headache that has effed me up all night. I'm going to take a sick day. Love you guys. I'm sorry.
I am indeed left in lurch at the moment, Paulie. I don't know about you, but I feel left in lurch.
Look, we you can't be mad at the guy. People get sick. People get hurt. I hope he's doing better. I hope he feels better soon. But there's no way that waking up to that text is not being left in the lurch.
Now, I'm not sure exactly. I've been kind of doing some Googling on cluster headaches, and I don't know how different they are from migraines, but and I don't know if he's actually been, officially diagnosed with them, or this is a self-diagnosis, but they sound pretty miserable. Sharp stabbing or burning pain behind the eye can last anywhere from 15 minutes to 3 hours. And usually occurs like once every other day for like 3 weeks to like several months.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That sounds absolutely horrible.
Is it possible Woods is out for the rest of the season with cluster headaches? Are we not going to see him again until November, because that's how long these things last?
Yeah, the 97.3 The Fan announces that Stephen Woods has been moved to the 60-day IL. Sam Levitt has been recalled from Padres pre and post game to do mornings.
I wouldn't mind seeing a little Sammy, obviously, in the mornings, but hopefully Woods gets better. Now, I was seeing what potentially causes cluster headaches, and according to the Mayo Clinic, experts don't know what causes cluster headaches. The pattern suggests a link to the area of the brain that helps run the body's biological clock, known as the hypothalamus, but triggers include the most common trigger for cluster headaches is drinking alcohol.
Oh,
now I did see a bit on social media on Friday night that Woods went out and had a few with his friends. And I was dying to get the story this morning on what he did on Friday and what hijinks and adventures he got up to while his wife Hannah was at the Elton John show, I believe. Woods went out with friends, and he doesn't do that very often. But I could tell by some of the pictures, Paulie, that he posted that there might have been a couple of drinks imbibed over the evening. Now, I don't know. Did you get any of the story at all?
I really didn't. It was a pretty quiet weekend amongst the three of us. I didn't hear a whole lot from either of you guys, and I didn't really have a whole lot going on myself. So we weren't super talkative over the weekend. I did see one or two pictures, and I think he said it was like a buddy was moving away or something. It was one last final hurrah on Friday night. Did not know that a hangover or a night out drinking could lead to cluster headaches that would impact you on Monday morning.
Yeah, I mean, I know he got to his Little League games on Saturday and everything. So if there was an effect, it was a delayed effect that waited until the start of the work week and not over the weekend to hit Woods. But I was counting on him, to tell us all the stories and get what Hannah told him about Elton John. I heard it was fantastic. My trainer went and said he was actually terrific. Elton John, the voice still sounds really good.
Awesome.
He needed some help around stage because of his problem with his eyes, which he's losing his sight, which is really sad. And my trainer said she went or was talking to an ophthalmologist about what's wrong with Elton John's eyes. She said it's a parasitic amoeba that is essentially eating away his eye, and there's no cure for it, which is really awful. I mean, just awful sounding. But apparently, he sounded great. They couldn't go through every single one of his songs, which is probably a bummer if you have a favorite and like he didn't get to it just because he has so many in his catalog. But
and he's not on tour. Like this
was a special.
This was a one-off, like his only show in America this year or whatever. Like at least that's already scheduled. This was not a tour where you could go and look like, all right, he played LA 2 nights ago. Here's what the set list looked like. Nothing like that. So yeah, with a catalog like that for Elton John, you really got to whittle it down, I guess.
So I heard good things. She also went to James Taylor at the Shell over the weekend. Apparently he did a bunch of shows. She said he sounded a little more on the elderly side compared to Elton John, but still beautiful venue and a very nice evening on Saturday. So I didn't do any of this myself. Like you, Paulie, I did very little this weekend. I watched sports. I did Mother's Day. I procured, presents and stuff for my mom and my mother-in-law, and Shelly and I put together. We thought it would be cool instead of doing the usual, flowers and card or chocolates. We put together charcuterie boards for our mom and our moms, and then delivered them on Sunday morning. You'd have like a little Sunday nosh throughout the day. You can just enjoy your cheeses and nuts and meats and crackers, and they both seem to enjoy that. So something a little bit different. She puts them together. So that's what I did Saturday. I went a bunch of shopping and then got that ready. We got it Sunday morning. I went and delivered them on Sunday, and then came back and watched a very disappointing Padres game yesterday. And then all of a sudden my weekend was like over, and it's like, okay, I guess I didn't do a ton this weekend.
Well, we did have 2 fun baseball games on Friday. Well, Friday was mostly fun. We'll get into that probably in our 7:00 hour. It was mostly fun. Wasn't expecting to see Robert Suarez on Friday night, but we did.
Kind of glad that he got in though, because otherwise he would have had the entire weekend off and probably be getting rusty by this point. So it worked out for the best.
Saturday was crazy. An absolutely bonkers game. There's so much to get into with Saturday's game. And yesterday was one of those games where I go, you know what? I kind of felt before the game even started, I go, I don't have a great feeling about today. And I couldn't really care less about Sunday's game. I was just thinking, if I'm Mike Schilt, I just want everybody to get on that plane, get on the bus, get to the airport, and get on that plane healthy, and just get home and call a 6-3 road trip pretty damn successful. You wanted to get the sweep, but I understand that it just may not have been in the cards.
Yeah, you do feel like you gave up one. As bad as the Rockies were playing so poorly that even after a win, they fired manager Bud Black. You do feel like you let one get away, but with no Jackson Merrill. And
had they won 4-3 on Saturday, I think yesterday's loss stings a little bit more.
Maybe, I don't know. I think it stings more because you won by so many. But that is baseball. The randomness that the team with the worst record in the league can beat the team that had, at least going into yesterday, the best record in all of baseball. You won't see that almost ever in football or even basketball. It's pretty rare, but in baseball, it's absolutely almost certainly going to happen. When you play a team 13 times, you are not going to sweep the entire season series. You're going to go on the road. You're going to lose at least 1 or 2 of those road games. Hopefully you take care of most of the business at home. I mean, Padres go 10-3, 11-2 against the Rockies. I will not be mad at the end of the year.
Oh, yeah.
But to do that, of course, you have to lose 2 or 3 times over the course of the season. And, that was, probably one of them that's just going to happen. And, Nick Pavetta's struggles, which, they talked a little bit about going into the game, continued at Coors Field, which has been an absolute nightmare venue for him. But we'll talk about everything that happened over the weekend, the good pitching performances and the bad coming up this morning. I want to go back quickly, though, to Saturday night, because of that game, not yesterday's game, but because of that game, my social media mentions were just an absolute nightmare over the weekend.
Because of Saturday's
game. Because I thought I fairly harmlessly tweeted after Saturday night, just a fact, just a one of my general fact tweets that I like to say. With the Tigers and Dodgers both losing, the Padres will reclaim the best winning percentage in MLB tonight. I thought it was a fairly benign. Hey, cool. Padres back on top. Who knows how long it'll last, but just throw it out there. It is a factual thing. I don't know what Dodger website or fan board got a hold of this, but for the next, whatever it's been, 36 hours since the end of that game, all I have gotten is dozens and dozens of tweets about how I start the parade and, Padre fans celebrating. And I mean, just, quote tweets and mentions about that tweet as though that I was trying to make some sort of prediction. Now that the Padres have the best record in baseball, it's over for every other team. They will never lose another game. They will storm to a World Series title. I was just pointing out that earlier in the season, Padres had the best record in baseball. They went on their, kind of mini slump, lost that title to the Tigers and the Dodgers for a while, and now got it back for one night. Of course, the Dodgers won yesterday. The Padres lost, so now the Dodgers have the best record in baseball, and the Padres have the second best record in all of baseball. That will happen over the course of the season, but Dodgers fans get so up in arms about what I thought was, as innocuous of a tweet as I could possibly send.
Yeah,
in the situation,
you got crushed.
I
mean,
there's a lot of likes on the tweet too, but it just absolutely got.
I think it's
out of hand.
A case of fool me once,
May champs, hang the banner.
Fool me 47 times, shame on me.
I don't think I did anything wrong though. Do you think I did something wrong?
Ben, they're lurking. They're waiting for anything to use.
It's not.
They're
it's
in
not
the chat right
use,
now.
though.
I promise you.
It's not something to use. It's not. Again, it wasn't a prediction. If I had added at the end, but the Padres will probably lose tomorrow, which I was probably thinking at the time when I tweeted it. Would that have changed anything for everybody? I have no idea.
You better hope they win tonight, bud.
I think it's a sign, and Diesel points it out in our chat. I think it's a sign that Dodgers fans are a little bit worried right now.
What do they have to be worried
Nothing,
about?
They don't, but everyone kind of said the Dodgers are so good. They are so much better than everybody else. They're going to run away with the division.
Yeah, they have the National League All-Star team.
They're going to challenge for the best record in baseball history. The thinking like 120 wins is within reach, and I don't disagree with that take.
Up guys like Roki Sasaki and Blake Snell over the offseason. Like, what could possibly go wrong this year?
Of course, Snell has barely pitched at all and is on the injured list. Glasnow is on the injured list. Roki has struggled, and yet they're still on pace for, I think, 108 victories after winning yesterday. So, that's struggling for the Los Angeles Dodgers, that they're still on pace for 108 wins. I don't think they really should be overly worried, but it doesn't look like what maybe some of them hoped. And it was going to be such a dominating team that they were going to jump out by, 10-game lead by the time, the middle of May had arrived, and it would be cruising for the rest of the season. Not just the Padres, but the Giants, the Diamondbacks went toe-to-toe with the Dodgers over the weekend and split 4 games. I think Dodgers fans are realizing that the NL West is not going to be an absolute pushover this year, that they are going to get a lot of competition from 3 of the 4 other teams all season long, and they're going to have to actually play and fight for it, which is the way it should be. But I think some of them are like, this is not what we signed up for. This is not what we expected with a massive record payroll, spending over $1 billion in the offseason. We shouldn't have to worry about the Diamondbacks and the Giants and the Padres all summer long. Isn't that what we bought? A little peace of mind, a little relaxation over the summer, that we're not going to look in the rearview mirror and see, oh yeah, virtually tied in the standings, half a game up, half a game back, a game up all season long. But that's essentially, where we're at with the Padres and the Dodgers right now.
It just goes to show this is a very tough game. It's a very long season, and a lot can happen, and it takes a lot of things to break your way just to get into the playoffs, let alone go on a run. It almost sounds like something San Diego fans that we would say, because it does. There's a part of me that feels, at least, you're like, wait. The best era of Padres baseball, like over a multi-year span, you're telling me we can't even be favorites to win the division? Like, of course that's the case. I feel the same way about my beloved alma mater, San Diego State. We got invited to the Pac-12. of course it's when the Pac-12 is the most irrelevant it's ever been, and it's not the same, and nobody cares. Like, that just seems like fitting. So they sound like Padres fans right now, those Dodger fans that are complaining.
Yeah, you make the wish, but the genie is going to give you everything you wanted, but it's not going to be exactly what you thought it was going to be. Oh yeah, you're in the Pac-12 now, San Diego State. Yeah, haha. It's not.
You're
really
going to have
the
the
Pac-12.
highest payroll you've ever had in franchise history. You're going to have superstars galore, and you're going to be fighting for second place.
But what I think some of these Dodgers fans fail to realize is that having the highest payroll in baseball means that you can survive the loss of Blake Snell and Tyler Glasnow and other, pitching injuries, and a bunch of guys on the injured list from your bullpen, and still be at or near the top of the standings in the middle of May. Other teams, if they lost that, quality of starting pitching and those bullpen arms, they'd be lucky to be 500 at this point. They'd probably be like, hey, we're a few games under 500, but we'll get our guys back. So we have a little change that we've made in the mornings. Was really a Woods design change, and we will explain it.
Yes,
right after a check of traffic here on 97.
We'll be right back.
3 The Fan. We're not going anywhere. Don't leave anybody.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury. Here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by City Cruises. Good morning. Hope everyone had a great weekend. Got one problem starting us off. It's a pickup truck that's caught fire eastbound 52 just before Mast Boulevard. It's over to the right shoulder. Set sail with Randy Hauser as he lights up the bay for an exclusive concert cruise like no other. Join us on Friday, May 23rd with City Cruises live in San Diego for an epic night of country music, dinner, drinks, and skyline views. Get tickets now at citycruises.com/live. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
So if you've been listening here in 2025, normally we'll throw to traffic at the end of
or
our
for the last 6 years
first segment, or for the last 6 years, and then we'll come back and set the menu for the program. Then we'll get into our Padres crap up, as the case is, at the bottom of the hour. But Woods, for the last couple of weeks, has been wearing Adam out, going, I just don't feel like foreplay lasts long enough. I get rolling. We're finally getting into the groove, and then all of a sudden, Ben's tossing to traffic, and we got to take a break. And
then it's a 5-minute commercial break, and then kind of a short segment, and you don't really want to tease more foreplay goofiness.
Yeah, we just didn't want to break it up right in the middle with some half story that then has to be finished at the other side of the break. So after a bunch of just how Woods is, when he has his mind set on something, he will make Adam's life, your life, my life, pretty much miserable until he gets his way. So, he talked to Adam about it. Adam was actually like, okay, we can make this work. And we have decided, starting today, that foreplay is going to be a little bit longer, and we're going to change our breaks around a little bit. So
we're basically commercial free for the first 30 minutes.
Yeah, close to
the show.
30 minutes of the show
every morning.
Yeah, when we get started.
And then we'll take a 5-minute break.
Big old segment, and then we come right back and talk Padres baseball most days with our grap up or our crap up, depending on how the team did. So this is Woods' time to really lean into it.
Explore the space.
What he likes to do, take off on different tangents, talk about his day, his weekend, his family, Little League, everything that's going on. It's really his strength.
Oh, yeah.
So, of course, here we are on the first day.
First day. I'll be honest. It was one of the absolute first things I thought of, because I thought of it yesterday when I was getting a little prep work done on the show, and I noticed, why does everything look different? I'm like, oh, we're going until 6:30 before our first break tomorrow. That's right. That should be fun. That should be good. I almost reminded you guys.
I totally had forgotten until you showed up this morning and said, little worried about, of course, this is our first extended foreplay. And of course, the guy who wanted it, the guy who begged for it and asked for it, is not here this morning to carry all the heavy lifting that he does during the segment. So here we are.
Yeah.
Enjoyable, isn't it?
We got 7 more minutes.
That's crazy. See, now it'll be our only break essentially this hour. We'll do the one break, and then we'll come back with a long block of Padres, and then we'll get to the top of the hour, and then we'll get back to
off and rolling,
kind of more of our usual schedule with our normal features. Well, I guess I can still set the menu here at this point and let you know what we have coming up.
And I need a little advice after you set the menu.
All right, at the program today, we'll talk Padres baseball. Obviously, 3 games to get to. A win, a huge win, and a disappointing loss. We'll start, of course, backwards in reverse with the disappointing loss from yesterday at 6:35 and get into it. Other Padres news and notes from over the weekend. We can talk a little soccer. SDFC with another good win on the road this weekend as they went to St. Louis, got a 2-1 victory. Wave suffered an excruciating draw, and we can talk about that as well. Basketball playoffs continue. There's been a lot of blowouts. There was another one last night where 41-point game at halftime. I'm waiting for – there's been some good games, but I've been really waiting for the playoffs to kind of kick in and just doesn't feel like they totally have. So I don't know how much basketball we'll get into. It's actually a big week in football. The schedule release is coming out this week if you are an NFL fan, including this morning.
Ready for some football?
They did announce that the very first game of the season will be Cowboys-Eagles on that Thursday night. And they will also announce all the international games tomorrow, which is including, I believe, the second game of the season will be that Friday night in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
That's right.
Is rumored to be Chiefs-Chargers. We know that the LA Chargers are hosting that game, but looks like it's going to be the Chiefs and the Chargers. And the topic is that it's going to be a YouTube streamed game for free. And they're working on the final deal with YouTube to be the broadcaster for that one. I think it was Amazon last year.
Yeah.
And
right.
They're talking about making it into YouTube. So add one more place where you can try to find football.
There's your
this
NFL
season.
talk on a Monday morning.
Yeah, and then now we don't have to get to it again. And then the full schedule comes out on Wednesday. We will have our Linsider, our Padres athletic guest, Dennis Lynn from The Athletic will join us at 8:35 this morning. We'll talk about the weekend and everything else that's going on with the Padres. Look ahead to their homestand, which begins tonight. The Los Angeles Angels are in town, followed by the Seattle Mariners. You got the West Coast Showdown, the Vetter Cup coming up this weekend. Padres trying to remain quite good at home. They finally had a good road trip. They've been very good at home all season.
14-4.
Yeah, other than one series against the Tampa Bay Rays, which kind of came out of nowhere and got bodied. They've been exceptionally good at Petco Park this season, so they get a week to look ahead at home. Games against the Angels and the Mariners. We'll talk to Dennis Lynn, and we'll have all our regular features. Don't do this. Take on John. He has agreed to come over and fill in for Wood, so we'll have John Flint coming over from KSON at 8:20 to play Take on John, and our Rondo Report in the final hour of the show as well. We also have some extra tickets to give away to the Front Row Card Show that's coming up in Mission Valley later this month. If you are a sports card or comic book, autograph seeker, the collectibles, they're going to have a bunch of them at Mission Valley at this Front Row Card Show. We'll have tickets to give away later in the day today. So that's your menu for the program. All right, you had a dilemma, you said?
That should be a big prize there. That card collection show actually sounds kind of fun.
Matt Strom is hoping to win that one.
Yes. Yeah, Maddie. I just a few minutes ago actually got an email that I have a PayPal request from Ibrahim. I don't know an Ibrahim, but he still found me and he requested some money. And he says, I'm experiencing a severe asthma flare-up, which is not good, and desperately need my inhaler. My prescription copay is $80, which I can't afford right now. I've been struggling to breathe for over 24 hours. This sounds serious. Is there any way you can help me access medication? And he requested $80. I mean, I don't want this person to get really sick or anything.
I'm skeptical, Paulie.
You're skeptical.
It's possible. I know that there's definitely a variety of different healthcare plans, but he says he has insurance.
Yeah, you just can't afford the $80 copay.
That's a large copay. I mean, I was looking online and they say that most inhalers are capped at like $35. So you may be the victim of a phishing scam here, Paulie.
Which I was actually a victim of bank fraud last week. So I probably should delete that.
But, asthma is no joke. I had it when I was a kid, and you definitely have to be careful with, the breathing, because when you stop breathing, it's a very bad thing. The oxygen is very important for
Thank you
general
to the
living.
People in the chat letting me know that that's a scam.
Scam.
Thank you.
Scam.
This is why we asked.
Yeah, well, All right, I'm ready to get
It
to
does
the
sound
Pod-
like something Woods might fall for.
I can't do this anymore. I'm ready to get to the Padres crap up. Even at a loss, we'll be better than this without Woods. So I think we did survive our first extended foreplay of the year. See how Woodsy does tomorrow. Hopefully he will be back. Got Paulie, you got Ben. We got 4 hours coming up for you on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Don't go anywhere. First, though, Woods and I would love to tell you about Trust and Will. If he was here, of course, he would love to tell you about Trust and Will. I will just do it on my own today. Actually had one of my colleagues at Channel 10 ask me about Trust and Will. He said, did you really go through the process? I said, I absolutely did. It was quite simple. Just answered some online questions. Took me about 20 minutes or so. And at the end, I had actual legal documents, a will and testament that they mail out to me, and I can put in my filing cabinet or safe or wherever you want to keep it, just in case something should happen to you. And then he asked, well, have you tested it? Have you used it yet? And I go, no, I have not used my actual will. So I won't know for sure if it's, as legally binding as they
Do you
say.
ever use your will, or do your descendants use
I don't
your
think
will?
you actually get to use your will. So I said, I'm sorry, I'm not going to actually be able to tell you how well it worked at the end of the day because I won't be around for that. But the idea is that you've got peace of mind while you're alive, and then your family will be protected and taken care of after you're gone with a will or with a trust, which can take your assets and help you keep your family out of probate court, which can be a lengthy, expensive process to distribute an estate and usually costs about 3 to 7% of the estate in legal fees and can take 9 to 18 months to settle. Avoid that by going to trustandwill.com, fill out the questions, get your documents, and use the code FAN, F-A-N, when you check out, because you're going to get 20% off. They're already reasonable prices, which are way lower than a lawyer's office, and free shipping of your estate documents simply by going to trustandwill.com. That's trustandwill.com.
Hey players, things are about to get real here in San Diego. Introducing the all-new Hamul Casino Resort. With a 200-room hotel tower, exciting new eats and drinks, plenty of new places to play, and a luxe spa and salon. Hello, rooftop pool and deck. It's where players can play their hearts out and enjoy all the perks that come with it. It gets real this summer at the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the players' place.
Monday morning, Ben Higgins, Paul Reindl with you until 10 o'clock. Stephen Woods out with headaches. Hopefully Woodsy feels better today and will return to the program tomorrow. Got our Padres crap up coming up here, Paulie. I want to stress, and I feel like this is important, especially in our role as hosts who talk about the Padres on a daily basis. I want to be very careful not to move the goalposts that we ourselves as a fan base established. So at the beginning of this road trip, we had a conversation. I remember it quite clearly, where we talked about what would be a successful road trip for the San Diego Padres. And all three of us agreed 6-3 would be a good target to set. That would be a very good road trip. It would get the Padres back home with a winning record on the road for the season after they had gone 3-3 and 2-4 on their first two road trips.
5-4 absolute minimum, 6-3 good.
I believe we even spelled it out specifically where you could do it in two different ways. You could take 2 out of 3 in all 3 series, including beating the Yankees, or you could sweep one of the 2 series against the lesser teams, the Pirates or the Rockies, take 2 or 3 on the other, and be okay just taking 1 of 3 in New York. Well, that is exactly how it played out. They swept the Pirates, took 1 of 3 in New York, took 2 of 3 at Coors Field against the Colorado Rockies, and ended up with a 6-3 road trip. It would be very, very disingenuous of us now to come back and go, yeah, I know we said 6-3 would be good, but man, you can't lose that game to the Rockies to end the road trip on a sour note like that. But you should have taken at least 2 out of 3 against the Yankees, if not all 3. You had leads late in the game. Ultimately, pretty disappointed with that road trip. Should have been 8-1 or 9-0. That's moving the goalposts on the team. And I feel like that is an unfair thing to do when we clearly established when the road trip started. 6-3 is what you should really be shooting for, and that would be an admirable way to finish your road trip.
Yeah, the way it played out, I mean, you're not going to hear a whole lot of complaining out of me. And
Good.
Touched on it in the last segment. It just kind of felt like Sunday's game, after the way the first two games in that series had went, you're like, man, let's just get home. Just get home safe. I saw a lot of positives on a gnarly 10-day, 3-city, 9-game road trip with ridiculous amounts of weather delays. I saw a lot of good that happened. We got 2 managers fired. I mean, that doesn't happen very often.
Generally, you're probably doing something right if 2 teams look like they're so outmatched that they can't even go on with their personnel as currently constructed.
You beat them down so bad that 2 teams on your 3-team road trip had to fire their manager. I saw guys like Jackson Merrill and Jake Cronenworth come back to the lineup and provide some offense. Like, that was great. And you went 6-3. I have no complaints whatsoever.
Now, hang
on. Had they started 6-0, if they swept the Pirates and the Yankees and would have been on like a 9-10 game winning streak at that point,
we would be feeling pretty bad.
Then I'd be really upset with a 6-3 road trip. But it didn't work out that way.
It played out like we said. Was yesterday disappointing? Yes. Will we talk about some of the areas where the Padres came up short? Yes. And we will do that in our Padres crap up right after another check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. 15-minute drive through oil change. Fire crews on scene of a pickup truck that caught fire eastbound 52 before Mast Boulevard, so watch out for some confusion there. It is causing some spectators slowing on the westbound side of the 52 heading out of Santee. San Diego, before you cruise out this Memorial Day, stop by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. No appointment needed, just 15 minutes and you're road trip ready. Valvoline Instant Oil Change, experts you can trust. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for coupons. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's a shame if they lose.
You got a problem.
Oh, a shame indeed.
I couldn't agree more.
Here are the lowlights from yesterday's game.
What the heck happened?
Are you kidding me? Can't even believe it.
It's the Padres
Crap up.
presented by Hamul Casino. Things are about to get real with the all-new Hamul Casino Resort with gorgeous rooms and exciting new eats and drinks. It gets real this summer at Hamul Casino Resort, the player's place.
We'll give it 16 minutes of salt and then we'll, get back on the bump and figure it out.
And Manny hits it on the ground up the middle to his left. Trejo collects it. Shortstop will throw to first in plenty of time. Fernando comes in to score, and the Padres take a 1-0 lead here in the first. DHing today. Swings at the first pitch, hammers it deep to left field on a line, and this one going to go. 3-run homer for Hunter Goodman, his 6th of the year. And the Rockies go in front for the first time this weekend. It's 3-1. And on the weekend, it's this one on a line to left field. Hayward over towards the line, dives, can't make the catch, and it bounces and rolls behind him. Beck has scored. McMahon is on his way. The throw comes into third base. Machado's tag, not in time. 2-run triple for Hunter Goodman, who's halfway to a cycle. And a 5-1 Rocky lead here in the third. Moniak swings, loops it into right field. That's a base hit. Goodman comes in to score as it rolls out to Fernando. RBI single for the San Diegan Mickey Moniak, and now a 6-1 Rocky lead. Handed, swings to the first pitch and skies it into right field. Fernando came in. Now he's got to go back, fighting the sun on the warning track. He makes the catch. Plenty deep for McMahon to tag and score. A sac fly for Tolia, and the Rocky lead is now 7-1. It's 1 for 3 with an RBI single, and he knocks one fair up the first baseline. That'll get another run home. Goodman crosses the plate. Moniak trying for 2. Fernando's throw, the tag by Bogarts. He's not in time. RBI double, Mickey Moniak, his second hit of the day, and the Rockies in front now 8-1. And the pitch to Machado, lined into right field. That's a base hit. Wade is rounding third on his way. He'll come in to score. Moniak's throw goes into second base. An RBI single for Machado, and it's 8-3 here in the 8th. 1-0 pitch. McMahon hits it in the air, high and deep to right field. This one is way back and gone, a home run. Number 6 for Ryan McMahon, now tied for the team lead. The pitch and a swing and a miss. Got him to go after a 102-mile-an-hour fastball, and a 1-2-3 ninth inning for Halverson to close this thing out as the Rockies beat the Padres for the first time this year by a final score of 9-3.
We catches the ball well. We good at bats in the first. Toddy busted his tail down the line. Well, he moves him over after he reads the ball in the dirt. And nice situation. He gets them in. They're up 1-0, and they're trying to, man. So with some good swings, they were more aggressive a little bit earlier, with Nick, and they put some swings on him, and they were able to get the lead, and we just weren't able to scratch back.
Yeah, I mean, the first inning was fine for the San Diego Padres. I mean, the top of the first inning, the bottom of the first inning was not.
They had a
very
great
good,
top
but
of the first inning.
It was a solid. I mean, they had much better top of the first innings earlier in the series, but they did score a run in the top of the first inning, and it looked for a while like that might be the only one the Padres got yesterday as they dropped the final game of their road trip and 3-game series in Colorado by a 9-3 score. 2 phenomenal pitching performances. One really as good as you'll ever see at Coors Field by Stephen Kolek on Saturday. Randy Vasquez was quite good on Friday. Surprise, it turned out to be Nick Pivetta, who's been one of the best starting pitchers in the National League, who really struggled badly at Coors Field. And if you had looked at the numbers, though, going into the game, it's not as shocking as it might sound, just given the performance of those 3 guys this season. Because even though he pitched only 4 innings and allowed 6 earned runs to the Colorado Rockies, Nick Pivetta actually lowered his career ERA at Coors Field from 18.90 to something in the 17 range by getting through 4 innings in that game. He has been awful now in 4 appearances at Coors Field. It has been an absolute nightmare for Nick Pivetta. And whether that is mental or whether it's something to do with how his stuff plays at Coors Field, probably a combination of both. It was just an ineffective performance by the guy who has been the most reliable starter so far this season for the San Diego Padres. Now, should they have known that was coming? I don't think you skip Nick Pivetta in the rotation because he had 3 bad outings at Coors Field in his career, 10 bad innings essentially going into that game. You'd think, okay, we got a different Nick Pivetta this year. He's throwing it lights out. We're not going to just not let him pitch at Coors Field. I would say going forward now, though, you might be hesitant. If there is an opportunity when the Padres make their second trip to Coors Field later this season and you're trying to decide how your pitchers are, falling in sequence during that week, if Nick Pivetta doesn't happen to throw at Coors Field, I'm going to be okay with it.
How many games has he pitched there?
And now 4,
okay,
I believe.
So relatively still kind of a small sample size.
You could always still turn it around, and you don't want him to feel like I can never pitch at Coors Field again. But
it's not like he's 0-12.
No, it's a small sample size. But as I think Mudd did a good job pointing out on the TV broadcast over the weekend, Randy Vasquez and Stephen Kolek relied on pitches that 4-seamers and sweepers that did not require as much of the the air going against the seams and the ball to be effective, whereas the 2-seamer for Nick Pivetta and his slider really do require that sharpness that you can get at sea level, and his pitches aren't quite the same. The ride on his 2-seamer was way down yesterday compared to his other starts. It had been riding 20 to 24 inches most days. It was only like 16. It's just way easier to hit when the ball is not moving the way it normally does. And I don't think that's Nick Pivetta's fault necessarily. That is the Coors Field impact on at least specifically that pitch that he relies on so badly. So I think going forward, there is a question as to whether if the Padres did have like a must-win game at Coors Field, I would be hesitant knowing his repertoire and how it plays in altitude to want to have Nick Pivetta on the mound for that game. It's not an indictment of Nick Pivetta. All pitchers have different stuff that plays differently in different parks. His stuff appears, and again, small sample size, Paulie, it doesn't play that well at Coors Field.
Yeah, I'm still supremely confident in Nick Pivetta and have no reservations that he's going to continue to pitch very well as he has all throughout the early part of the season. Was there any part of you yesterday, because there was, I at least thought it, that maybe Nick Pivetta was still tipping pitches, because we did see that in his last start or second to last start. We saw the John Boy breakdown against the Giants, right, where he was caught tipping pitches. They were able to see it from second base. when I saw when Ruben Niebla went out in the first inning and talked to him, and I just thought he was getting hit around, and I thought, I wonder if maybe he's still trying to figure something out.
I didn't notice the Rockies specifically signaling, and again, I'm not an expert in terms of picking up those kind of tells. The one batter where I was really thinking it, though, was when Mickey Moniak had his RBI single in the third inning on a curveball that actually was a really good curve. It was below the zone, and he waited on it and, rifled it into right field like he knew it was coming on that pitch.
Yeah.
Mickey Moniak, who hasn't been a world beater at the plate, obviously.
Right.
That's why the Angels gave up on him earlier this season. He was picked up by the Rockies. Local kid, hope he has a good career, but the fact that he seemed so comfortable with a pitcher's pitch that was below the zone, either he was guessing right or perhaps, Paulie, I think you bring up a legitimate concern that Nick Pivetta may still have a potential tipping issue that the Rockies may have picked up on and were somehow communicating to batters. I don't, it's not cheating. I'm not accusing the Rockies of cheating. But
we've now seen that at least a couple of times, one for sure this season with our pitchers. And I just thought, I wonder, because you don't typically see a whole lot of first inning visits from Ruben Niebla.
David J in the chat said Moniak didn't wait on anything. His bat's just that slow, and you get to speed up with the curveball. He was looking for fastball, and he's so slow that the curveball hit his bat. Could have been as simple as that, but it's something I would imagine Ruben Niebla is keeping an eye on just to make sure after the John Boy breakdown of Nick Pivetta's potential tipping of his pitches, and they will get that ironed out if that's an issue. I think it was definitely more of a Coors Field thing for Nick Pivetta than anything else yesterday. Offensively, I saw a lot of comments on social media. Wow, Padres just not bringing any effort at the plate in the game yesterday, just swinging early, swinging at anything. What happened to the team that put up 21 runs on Saturday and 13 runs on Friday? Where did the offense go? I tend to think, and I want to give some credit to German Marquez. I know he was awful most of this season, had an ERA near 10 going into the game, but we've also seen German Marquez in other years. He's not a horrible pitcher.
I've seen him dominate the Padres.
Yeah. And
dominate.
I thought for the most part, he threw the ball pretty well. Padres hit a couple Adam balls, didn't help, had some quick innings that really helped him. And you can say, well, they should have been more patient. He was filling up the strike zone. Through 78 pitches, 54 of them were strikes. If you are just waiting on him, you are going to be falling behind in a lot of counts. So they tried to be aggressive. It's worked for the Padres so often this season. Hey, you see a pitch you can hit. If it's the first or the second pitch, go for it. They tried that, and they made a lot of quick outs in the game yesterday. He was not giving up the fly balls that he has been this year that have been the problem for German Marquez. He got a lot of ground balls. Even if some of them were hit fairly hard, gave up a bunch of ground balls. It worked out really well for the Colorado Rockies. There just wasn't a lot to speak of in terms of positives for the San Diego Padres. I'm glad Manny Machado got his RBI single late in the game. He extended his hitting streak to 11 games in a row, and he remains red hot.
In.
I surprised Woods and myself when I looked it up. Did you know that Manny Machado is leading the National League in batting? He's number one. He's the National League batting leader with a 324 average right now.
He's second overall behind Judge?
And no, I think there's a couple of American leaguers who are ahead of him. Judge is one of them. There might be one or two others, but Manny is not struggling as some people may think. Manny is locked in. He's on fire right now. He got off to an okay start, and now
he's seventh overall. There's
six American leaguers ahead of him, but he's first in the National League in batting. Fernando Tatis is tied for second in the National League in batting with a 320 average, tied with Pete Alonso. So, Tatis is first in WAR. The Padres are getting plenty of production out of their stars this year. You can complain about Xander Bogaerts and, another 0 for 3 yesterday after showing some signs of life. But for the most part, the Padres are getting enough to win a lot of ball games from the stars at the top of their lineup. And Manny Machado is locked in right now. It had a couple of RBIs, again, hitting 324. Would you like to see more than 3 home runs?
Sure.
The only reason he's not hitting home runs, though, is because he is hitting the ball so hard on a line and it's just not lifting. I would think that at some point if he stays locked in like this, the ball will start going in the air a little bit, and he'll have a run where he hits, 6 or 7 of them over the course of, 10 or 11 days. And just like that, he'll be among the National League leaders in home runs as well. So
I don't know.
No concern for Manny at the moment.
I don't know what pace he's on, but I am pretty confident he's going to be at his 30 or right around, 28, 29. He gets his 30 every year, and I'm not worried about this year either.
Well, he's also leading the National League in doubles right now with, I think, 14 of them. So, that's extra base hits. That's slug right there. It's not home run slug, but it's slug. And, he is driving the Padres offense, as we speak. That's what they need Manny Machado to do. He is doing it. Does it look like it always, looks with Manny? No, it looks a little bit different. In some ways, though, it's better. He's hitting for a much higher average than we usually see from him. He's getting more doubles than we usually see. The only thing that's really down with Manny right now is the home runs, and that's it. And, that may be part of the Padres' overall strategy, working both sides of the field, going the other way. You're not going to hit as many home runs when you go the other way, but it's generally working for the San Diego Padres. I wouldn't change a thing right now if I'm the Padres, if I'm Manny, if I'm Tatis. Even though you're not going to probably be a home run king this year, keep the offense the way it's going. And it didn't work yesterday, but more often than not, I think you're going to be able to put up a lot of runs. So, all right, we got through the loss. That's fine.
I still have some actual legitimate concerns, and it has to do with the bullpen.
Left field as well?
Yeah.
We'll get into that. Talk about Bud Black's firing after the game as well by the Colorado Rockies. That is coming up next. Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Saw a lot of outrage from the national baseball media last night. How dare the Colorado Rockies pin the blame on their pathetic record on manager Bud Black when everybody knows it's the owner, Dick Monfort, and his lack of investment in the team that is truly at fault. Welcome back. It is Ben and Paul here with you on a Monday morning. Woodsy, get well. Hopefully be back tomorrow morning. Yes, cluster headaches are the culprit, at least according to Woods' early morning text today. So hopefully he's resting and feeling a little bit better somewhere in a dark room or taking some ibuprofen or whatever he needs to get better. So I don't know how you feel about it, Paulie. I mean, I certainly agree. You know, it's not Bud Black's fault that the Rockies are 7-33 or whatever their record is now after 40 games this season. But I'm not going to get overly worked up about Bud Black getting fired for two reasons. First of all, yes, this season is not on him, and probably the last few years are certainly much more on ownership than Bud Black. But anytime a manager has 7 consecutive years in which the team is, 20 to 30 games under 500, what is a ball club going to do other than eventually make a change in manager? No matter how well Bud Black is liked, and he is well liked around baseball. I like Bud Black a lot. But at some point you're going to just make that change. It's inevitable. Secondly, and the reason why I'm really not upset this morning, it was a gift for Bud Black. It's an absolute gift to be absolved.
You're free, buddy.
Of the responsibility of having to go through the final 122 games of this season, knowing you have no hope of even climbing into fourth place. You have zero hope of anything other than a dead last place finish. You are a minor league ball club developing players. You are a AAA team playing against major league competition every single day. And that's all that was facing Buddy for the last 5 months of this baseball season. He was given a gift by the management of the Colorado Rockies to let him come home, play some golf, listen to Ben and Woods in the morning, his favorite radio program, and decide what he wants to now do with the rest of his career. Retirement? Does he want to get into a front office?
Does he want to get into morning radio?
Absolutely. We could use a co-host right now.
Buddy, come on in, man.
Ben and Paul and Bud in the mornings on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. I don't expect him to make any decisions right away. I saw a lot of suggestions. Hey, Padres should snatch him up. He's back home, just like they did with Scott Service. Get more good baseball people into the organization. And it's possible that at some point Buddy may, become a special assistant, or, he's done that before. He's worked in front offices before he was manager. Good guy. Buddy's going to be fine. Or, Buddy will play golf at Rancho Santa Fe Farms and enjoy his retirement going forward. I'm sure he's made enough money in his career. He's invested it well, put it away in the bank. If he doesn't want to work anymore, he doesn't have to. If he wants to be in baseball, there are dozens of teams that would be happy to find a role for Bud Black going forward.
Yeah, I don't think he'll have any trouble with that if he wants to do that. I always think it's a little bit funny when somebody gets fired after a win. Like, we had just saw that recently, and we saw it again with Bud Black. Like, I tend to think that decision was made before yesterday's game.
You think?
I'm thinking Bud Black even knew. I'm thinking the players even might have known. Hey, guys, last hurrah here. Let's go get them.
Let's send them out a winner.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't think that in their other 39 games this season, that they could have done that. But
and I saw people saying like, oh, the team quit on him already. Like, you had to make the change. And I don't know if that's the case. I just don't think that they're a team that really has any business competing with the majority of Major League Baseball.
They're not good enough to quit on anybody. I mean, It's just they're so far behind the rest of baseball when it comes to talent.
But ultimately, like, Dick Manfart, he's got to fire somebody, and he's not going to fire himself, even though he probably should. I mean, I asked the question on the roundtable, and I last week, and I didn't end up doing any homework and finding an answer to it. But when did Dick Manfart buy the Rockies, and have they ever been even remotely competitive under his tenure as owner? Because I don't think so, unless he's been the owner the whole time.
And
we're going to give him credit for the mid 2000s teams.
Yeah, I think. Let's see. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly when he bought the team, but it's certainly been a downward spiral under the vast majority of his ownership. When Bud was hired, got to the playoffs his first 2 years, lost a wild card game the first year, lost in the divisional series the next year, and they have not even sniffed even a wild card since then. It's been 4th and 5th place finishes every single year since 2018 for the Colorado Rockies. I mean, there was absolutely no manager on earth. I think Dave Roberts said Casey Stengel could not manage that team to a 500 record at this point. They also been battered by injuries as well. Losing even the guys they did invest in, like Chris Bryant, have been utter failures, unfortunately, due to health concerns. So they had no hope. They never had any hope, and Bud has been absolved now going forward. And if I'm Buddy Black, I am silently going, oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Did you see how depressed? I mean, Buddy's a positive guy. He just that stoic, stone-faced pain that you saw on Friday and Saturday in the dugout at Coors Field. I felt for him. I really did.
Yeah.
He deserves better than that team. He really does. And you could just see how looking ahead, I can imagine him going, oh, we've got 4.5 more months of this. I don't know that I'm going to survive it. And now he will. And I do believe he was given a gift.
We've seen it all here in San Diego. We've seen first-year managers like Andy Green and Jace Tingler. We've seen veterans like Bob Melvin have a little bit of success and then completely lose everything, and they have to move on. And now we've settled with Mike Schultz, who I think is absolutely the right guy for the right job. But sometimes it happens where you're put in an unwinnable situation like I think Andy Green was. I don't think Andy Green was ever going to see a team that fully, like, they had a plan, and it wasn't just a 1-year plan. Like this was all set to be in motion over the course of 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and now we're seeing the fruits. But you knew Andy Green wasn't going to be there. Jace Tingler, like, he was a rookie manager given a pretty good team, and he just wasn't ready.
Yeah, I agree with you with Andy Green.
Bud Black's not that guy.
Andy Green never had a hope, never had a chance. Jace Tingler did. Jace Tingler had an opportunity to be successful, and they realized, I don't think he's the right guy or not quite ready for this job yet.
I'm comparing Buddy Black and like Jace Tingler, where in one situation, in Tingler's case, you're like, you may be a great manager somewhere down the road. It's just not going to happen right now with this team. You're not the right guy. You're not ready. Bud Black is a seasoned, successful manager. Like, he is anybody in baseball will tell you he knows what he's doing. This was not on Bud Black.
I'm curious if Bud Black was never really given a good team. He was given.
When did he take it? Like 17, 18?
So he took the Padres to a couple of playoff appearances,
but with the Rockies.
He started in 17 right after the Padres lost to the Rockies in that Matt Holliday didn't touch home plate game. That was his last game as Padres manager. And then in 17, he went to the Rockies. And then Andy Green came to the Padres.
With the Rockies, and then after
couple of years. Yeah. But, other than a couple of decent Padres teams and decent, okay Rockies teams, he was never really given a championship contender to manage. And I'm curious what it would look like if Bud was actually given a team that was a championship contender. But I don't know. Will he get another opportunity to manage? Does he even want another opportunity to manage? Maybe, maybe not. That'll probably be some deep thoughts that Bud Black has this summer about what he wants his future to look like.
I bet he ends up with the Texas Rangers in their front office.
Of course, as they all do.
Right.
At the end of the day.
Bochy's like, give him another senior special advisor role.
They'll find a place for him in the Texas Rangers organization. So again, not going to be sad for Buddy. I'm actually going to be happy for Bud Black today. And
I mean, look, he made it a lot longer than a lot of managers that, like the Jace Tinglers.
Yeah, that's right. 2007 was Matt Holliday, not 2017.
That didn't sound right.
Yeah, I was a decade earlier.
I was like, I think I was a little bit before that.
And then he took over the Padres managing job the next year. I knew it was 1 year off of Matt Holliday. That's when he got the job. After that, not when he lost the job. Good point. Good catch on Ben there. All right. Otherwise, Padres did make a couple of other moves over the weekend. On Friday, Connor Joe was traded to the Cincinnati Reds for a right-handed pitcher from the minor leagues named Andrew Moore and cash considerations. I think this was just a sign that Connor Joe was not viewed as having any spot on the San Diego Padres in the future. And if you could unload even his $1 million salary and get something for him, that made more sense for the Padres than just having him stuck in the minor leagues. And it's good for Connor Joe, who may have an opportunity with the Reds that it looked like he wasn't going to get with the San Diego Padres. Why it didn't work out with the Padres? I don't really know the answer to that question.
I don't know that it was ever really a good fit. I think there's no such thing as a bad one-year contract. We say that all the time. The 1 year, $1 million veteran offer. You throw it out there and see what sticks, but I don't even know if he would have gotten a couple of hits as a Padre that he still wouldn't have eventually been traded. I just think they're looking long-term throughout the rest of the season, and they just didn't determine that there was much of a spot for him.
It's a good point. I was excited when I saw him in spring training. I thought that maybe a guy who could get on base the way that Connor Joe has, draw some walks, might be an upgrade in left field. I mean, the Padres still have an issue in left field with Jason Hayward, and we'll talk about that. I mean, he did get the 3-run home run, but ultimately the at-bats just don't look that competitive from Jason Hayward right now. I love his leadership. He's played some good defense. Obviously had a misplay yesterday. It cost the Padres a couple of runs. I don't think that was a difference in the game. In fact, I don't blame him for trying to be aggressive there. You're trying to keep the game within reach at that point and make a spectacular play, but his at-bats just haven't looked good enough. So the Padres need a left fielder, and if they knew that Connor Joe wasn't the solution, well, then he wasn't the solution. They need to look somewhere else, and it wasn't Connor Joe.
Yeah, I'm guessing that that won't be the only trade that AJ Preller makes between now and August 1st or whatever.
A couple other Padres notes from the weekend. Brian Hoeing began a rehab stint in the minors. I think he got hit around in a rookie level game, but it's good to see him at least back on the comeback trail. And he's got a track record. I'm not going to worry too much. This is just getting about his feels back, and hopefully Brian Hoeing can return to the Padres bullpen, and he'll be the kind of longer early relief option once he comes back, hopefully, and you won't need to see as much Wandy Peralta in that role anymore, who has been struggling lately. We'll talk about him. And Yu Darvish continues on his rehab trail. We talked to Eric Grupner on Friday, who said went really well with his throwing session last Thursday, and they were thinking of maybe even skipping a rehab start. Well, it looks like he's going to make at least one rehab start on Wednesday for El Paso. That's at least the word coming out of Coors Field yesterday. Going to throw a bullpen today at Petco Park. Mm-hmm. That goes well. Rehab start on Wednesday at AAA. Wouldn't be shocked if his next start after that came perhaps to start the Padres road trip after they finish this homestand. So maybe even like in 8 or 10 days, you could see, in about 10 days, you could see Yu Darvish back in the Padres starting rotation, which would be really exciting to get him back.
Kevin AC wrote last night, Darvish, bullpen at Petco today, and then it says tentative plan to make a rehab start Wednesday with El Paso, but it'll be in Las Vegas. The Padres will evaluate after that whether Darvish, who was sidelined in spring training with elbow inflammation, will pitch in another minor league game or make his season debut. Now, what kind of off days do we have coming up here?
There's a Thursday off day this week.
Just the one?
I think so.
I was trying to see if maybe the Padres would get a little creative and try to extend that trip through the rotation one time through, but Stephen Kolek pitched pretty damn well on Saturday. So I don't know, like we talked about it a couple of weeks ago with Kyle Hart, and you had the off days, and they're like, let's just skip this. We'll get a chance to get Michael King back out there even quicker, but he's still on full rest.
Not skipping Stephen Kolek. He's the ace of the staff right now.
Yes.
Kidding me? I can't wait for Stephen Kolek's next start. And we will talk about Stephen Kolek and his performance on Saturday night in the unbelievable 21-0 victory for the San Diego Padres. We'll get into some of that coming up.
Not very often that the offense gets outshined, outperformed when they put up 24 hits, I believe, and 21 runs.
I think ultimately, the Padres will have to make a decision on their starting rotation. But if Yu Darvish comes back and looks anything like Yu Darvish, Michael King, Dylan Cease, Yu Darvish, Nick Pivetta, And perhaps Stephen Kolek, is now your number 5 starter.
Randy Vasquez got to be feeling a little bit of pressure there.
I mean, he pitched really well on Friday. I don't want to take anything away from Randy Vasquez, but he's probably better as your flex 6th starter going forward. I'm very encouraged from what I've seen from Stephen Kolek, and the Padres definitely. Things look bright for the starting rotation going forward with you coming back. I mean, you're always 1 or 2, quick injuries away from being in hot water once again when it comes to the starting rotation. But, I'm throwing this Nick Pivetta start yesterday out the window. He's shown me more than enough to feel like you can count on Nick Pivetta for having a really good season. Michael King remains one of the best pitchers in baseball. Dylan Cease seems to be coming around in his last couple of starts, looking much more Dylan Cease-like, especially that start at Yankee Stadium. And, we'll see what Yu Darvish has going forward. But when he's been healthy the last couple of years, Yu Darvish has been good. It's just a matter of getting him on the field enough to be effective. But, I mean, the Padres should feel extremely good about the starting rotation in the next couple of weeks with what they have. And then, mix and match and play around with your 5th starter. But as of now, for me, it's Stephen Kolek going forward until he shows any reason why he hasn't given up a run in 2 starts. I mean, let's wait until he gives up a run and then decide if we want to start playing around with the 5th spot. But I think Stephen Kolek's done everything that he needs to. And what an unbelievable performance on Saturday. We'll get to that coming up. We got Don't Do This coming up next as well. I know sometimes I think Padres fans can get a little out of their heads criticizing the team. You got nothing on the Astros fans who took it to the don't do this level over the weekend when it came to a bad pitching performance by one of their starters. Plus, some do this. It's always nice to be polite, even if you don't get recognition for it. And we saw a great example of that over the weekend. We'll get to all of that coming up next with Ben and Paul on a Monday morning on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hey players, things are about to get real here in San Diego. Introducing the all-new Jamul Casino Resort. With a 200-room hotel tower, exciting new eats and drinks, plenty of new places to play, and a luxe spa and salon. Hello, rooftop pool and deck. It's where players can play their hearts out and enjoy all the perks that come with it. It gets real this summer at the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the players' place. Hey players, things are about to get real here in San Diego. Introducing the all-new Jamul Casino Resort.
Don't do this. Brought to you by Trust and Will.
Don't.
Leave your entire estate, house, kids, and life savings up to chance if and when you die.
Do.
Set up a Trust or Will online at trustandwill.com.
This
is a lot more affordable than you think. Visit trustandwill.com for more info. Well done, Paul Reindl. Thank you for stepping in for Stephen Woods there.
Happy to help.
I will start with, this should be a story to celebrate if you're a Houston Astros fan, but at least someone in their fan base turned it into a major don't do this over the weekend. Houston Astros right-hander Lance McCullers Jr., who has not pitched essentially at all since the 2022 World Series due to a series of right arm issues, missing 2023 and 2024 as he recovered. Finally back, making just his second start this season for the Astros on Saturday, and it didn't go well. He can't be entirely shocked that a guy's going to struggle a little bit after not pitching for 2.5 years, essentially. But that was too much for at least some Astros fans who made threats against his family on social media. Quote from McCullers: I understand people are very passionate. People love the Astros and love sports, but threatening to find my kids and murder them is a little bit tough to deal with. So just as a father, I think there have been many, many threats over the years aimed at me mostly. And I think actually one or two people from other issues around baseball actually had to go to jail for things like that. But I think bringing kids into the equation, threatening to find them, or the next time they see us in public, they're going to stab my kids to death. Things like that, it's tough to hear as a dad. Joe Espada came to his defense as well. I think we can all agree on the fact that that is way beyond the pale. I mean, no death threats at all should be made to players, their families, or anyone just because they performed well.
But especially his young daughters.
Yeah. I mean, if you're a fan, hey, you're a bum, release this guy, get rid of him, fine. If you have to get that off your chest because he had one bad outing after 2.5 years of rehab to get back to the big league level, I think you're still kind of a classless idiot, but it doesn't rise to the level of don't do this. This clearly rises to the level of don't do this for Houston Astros fans.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Be better.
Let's wash it off with a couple of doo-doo thises today.
Can we do a couple?
Let's
like
do two.
That.
DD mega doo-doo.
All right, I can get us started here. You teased it. Doing something nice, not expecting any recognition. And this coming from one of the most popular football players on the planet. We're talking about former Colorado standout and newest member of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Travis Hunter. There was a story going around on social media over the weekend, and it's a picture of Travis Hunter, and he's on a plane sitting next to a woman, and the woman read, I had the most wonderful flight home from Denver. I met the nicest young man who sat next to me. He offered to put my bag in the overhead compartment and helped me with my tray. He was always polite, saying yes, ma'am, or no, ma'am. Anyone would be proud to have him as a son or grandson. So polite. People walking by were saying, congratulations, great job, even taking pictures. I turned and asked him, who am I sitting next to? I looked at his Jaguar pants, smiled, and asked, are you an athlete? He smiled and said, yes, I'm Travis. I was drafted by the Jags. I already told my sons I want his jersey. He's so humble and down to earth. I would have never guessed he was a professional athlete. Jacksonville Jags, you did good. I will be buying tickets. United Airlines, thank you for my seat assignment.
That's very cool.
That is awesome.
You know what? And I will give his parents, his upbringing a lot of credit for that. You don't act like that and be respectful of your elders without some good examples when you were growing up.
That's got to be the absolute best, most fulfilling compliment a parent can ever receive.
I would think so. Yeah. The athletic accomplishments.
Such a great human being.
But that is really what truly makes you feel good as a parent, that someone, just feels like your son is a good person. And he certainly gave that example. But you know who I'm also going to give a little credit to? Guy who's taken a lot of shots in recent weeks, Deion Sanders, who I believe also sets a really good example for his players and his team. And he expects good behavior. He expects respect and polite attitudes. And I think he instills that as well as coach of the Colorado Buffaloes, which again, makes it so shocking that his son, fell to the 5th round. I don't think Shedeur Sanders is going to be a problem off the field for the Cleveland Browns. I really don't. I have no idea, talent-wise, whether he's going to be a successful NFL quarterback, but I don't think any team should have been scared away by Deion or Shedeur from drafting him. Now, if their evaluation was like, we just don't think he's going to be that good on the next level, I can't criticize a scout for that. That's their job to evaluate. But I don't see any problems off the field coming from Shedeur, and I think Travis Hunter kind of shows an example of good people coming out of that Colorado program.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
All right, finally, another
DD mega doo-doo.
Fun Mother's Day story yesterday from Detroit, Comerica Park, where the Tigers hosted the Texas Rangers. And it just happened to be a very special Mother's Day for Mary Young, because both of her sons, Josh Young and Jace Young, played in the same game against each other. Jace was in the Tigers lineup. Josh was in the Rangers lineup. She got to deliver the game ball to the mound, join her sons on the field before the game. She said, my heart is just exploding. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better Mother's Day gift. we're all in the same place to begin with. Then to watch them live their dream, do what they love to do, I couldn't be more proud. And then during the game, Josh went and hit a home run for his mom on Mother's Day. The only thing she couldn't get is both teams couldn't win, obviously. One team had to win, one son had to lose, and the Texas Rangers did go on to the win yesterday, 6-1 over the Detroit Tigers. But Tigers are having a pretty good season as well, and I thought that was a very cool Mother's Day story from baseball.
Yeah, you see it every year on Mother's Day. You'll see, so-and-so is going to catch the ceremonial first pitch, and his mom's going to be the one to throw it. It's easy, and it's fun, and it's a good feel-good moment. But not too many of those moms get to see both of their sons in the big leagues playing each other on the same day.
In the same position, playing the same position.
That is
as well.
awesome. They were playing tic-tac-toe on the infield dirt in the game. I did see that, which is always funny to me.
And that is don't and do this for a Monday.
That was Don't Do This with Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, we talked about the loss. Let's go back and talk about the 2 wins for the San Diego Padres, including a historic 21-0 shutout of the Colorado Rockies on Saturday. Get to that coming up next with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. GEGE 000-466. For a full list of games and rules, play at 7 Mile Casino. Visit 7milecasino.com.
First, hope everybody had a good weekend out there, and I bet it was a good weekend if you found your way to 7 Mile Casino. Just a lot of fun, especially with the team on the road looking for something to do. 7 Mile Casino is a great spot. If you're a card player, you're not going to find a better card room in San Diego. I dare you to find a better one in Las Vegas. I had mentioned that 7 Mile Casino is smoke-free, and someone in my mentions last week said, well, like some of the Vegas card rooms are smoke-free as well. Yeah, but you still have to walk all the way through giant casinos, usually, smell and smoke the entire way before you get to the quote-unquote smoke-free card room. All of 7 Mile Casino is smoke-free. It's upscale. It's just a great place to hang out, be at, right there on San Diego Bay, off the 5 freeway in Chula Vista. If you are a real card player as well, it's great for high-limit games. Playing high-limit Texas Hold'em, they've got a game spread for you, a really good group of players that you can go and play some high-limit action. Of course, Woods loves the California-style blackjack. There's also Baccarat and Pai Gow Poker as well. Sammy's at 7 Mile brings you food 24/7, any time of the day, serving up great food out of their kitchen with TVs all over and a full bar and the great patio that, again, has views out to Coronado over the water. You can watch the sunset with friends. There's so many things to do. Please check it out today. Head down to 7 Mile Casino. It's just 7 minutes from downtown.
Hey players, things are about to get real here in San Diego. Introducing the all-new Hamul Casino Resort. With a 200-room hotel tower, exciting new eats and drinks, plenty of new places to play, and a luxe spa and salon. Hello, rooftop pool and deck. It's where players can play their hearts out and enjoy all the perks that come with it. It gets real this summer at the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the players' place.
Here's one thing I don't know that we will ever see again in baseball. A game in which the team scoring 21 runs is not the most notable thing about that game. Welcome back, Ben and Paulie, this morning on 97.3 The Fan. Hope Woods feels better and will return with us tomorrow morning. He is, in fact, sick. We're not faking you out like we did a couple of weeks ago when he was actually surprising his family, and we told you he was sick. Actually sick today.
He told us to lie. We didn't feel good about it, but we had to do it.
We did.
Because Gary, he listens every morning. Gary, if you're listening right now, you don't need to be like checking outside your office or the driveway. Woods is not showing up today.
Really sick.
He is actually sick. Cluster headaches.
Yeah.
Which just does not sound fun
No.
at all.
No, it does not.
A migraine, there's really few things worse than that. And to have the, like, it sounds like it's like a wave of headaches that just kind of hits you and anywhere from like 5 to 15 minutes at a time, and then it goes away, and then it comes right on back. And look, for him to wake up and go, I cannot go in and go to work this morning, he would hate himself right now. Like, he hates that.
Oh, no.
Nobody in morning radio wants to wake up and find out that one of their crew can't make it in. Happens. People get sick. Your car breaks down, whatever. Like, it happens. Life happens, and you move on. But Woods in particular prides himself on not doing that. And so for him to send that text this morning at like 3:45, I knew he was really not doing well.
He's kind of Chris says that's what happens when you fake playing sick. You do tempt fate a little bit, like when you
little boy who cried
pretend
wolf.
to be sick.
Yeah.
But he wasn't lying to anyone at work. I mean, Adam knew where he was going. It wasn't a surprise.
Just all of you guys.
It was
listening.
just you, the listeners, that we were lying to. He actually never lied to anybody. We were the ones who were lying to people on his behalf.
We're the ones that looked bad.
He was very honest with us and with work where he was going. He just couldn't tell anybody because he didn't want the cat out of the bag. But I don't know. I don't think the Rockies felt too good on Saturday night, kind of the cluster headache version of a baseball game, getting bodied 21-0 by the Padres. And I know Woods was always worried about this Rockies series with good reason. They did end up losing a game. They nearly blew the game on Friday. It wasn't like there was no craziness of Coors Field. There was plenty of craziness, but for the first time maybe ever in Woods' life, at some point in that game, I think maybe 15-0, he realized I don't actually have anything to worry about in this game tonight. For one day only at Coors Field, the Padres are hitting so well and getting such good pitching that there's even no chance of a comeback at Coors Field in this game. And that turned out to be the case. Padres erupted for 5 runs in the first inning. Gavin Sheets hitting his 5th home run of the season, 2-run shot. And then after single runs in the second and third, an 8-run 4th inning, including a bit of a cheapy Jason Hayward 3-run home run, but the first 3-run home run of the season by the San Diego Padres. After 38 games, they didn't have a single one. And then, of course, they get 2 consecutive innings of 3-run home runs as Fernando Tatis Jr. Hit one in the 4-run 5th inning. At that point, it was an absolute laugher. Padres had 5 different players with 3 runs batted in. Fernando Tatis Jr., Luis Arraez, Jake Cronenworth, Gavin Sheets, Jason Hayward. They hit 5 home runs, season high. And That doesn't even include Jackson Merrill, who went 4 for 6 with 2 runs batted in just an unbelievable top to bottom offensive performance.
Yeah,
And
Brandon Lockridge, the only guy to not get a hit, 1 pinch hit appearance, and he went 0 for 1. Everybody else that appeared in the lineup for the Padres had a hit.
And I know what you're thinking, and you're not wrong. It's Coors Field. It's the Rockies. Let's not make too big of a deal about a one-off performance with 21 runs. They're not going to duplicate that. You're not going to see the Padres scoring 20 every other day. I get that, but it's always nice to have the formula laid out. And that is, in a nutshell, I think what the Padres are hoping their lineup at its top capabilities is able to really do. Is it, are they going to score 21 runs against the Dodgers at Dodger Stadium? Of course not. Going to be facing much tougher pitching in tougher dimensions at sea level. But when you have the combination of guys who are actually hitting the ball out of the park, as Tatis can do, as Sheets can do, as some guys can do, and you get a few home runs, but you continue to do what you're doing in the lineup, and you're getting it all the way from 1 to 9 in a game like that, it really does show you that the Padres can be a very dangerous weapon offensively when everything is rolling. And the dream, of course, would be that you get to October and you have a bunch of these guys who are all locked in at the same time, because that would make the Padres one of the most formidable teams to face in Major League Baseball. Whether it's the Rockies or any other opponent, you have guys who are putting together at-bats like they did, and they put together good at-bats that whole game. They never stopped putting together good at-bats.
Never got lazy.
I was almost annoyed at some point going, all right, I get it. You're working the count. You fouled off 3 pitches at 3-2. It's the 7th inning, and you're up 18-0. Go ahead, just swing early and let's get this game moving. But they would not do it.
Get out of there. Go grab a drink. Go grab dinner. Get some rest.
I thought it was a test of mental focus and toughness that the Padres, even with a giant lead, could continue to put quality at-bats together the entire game. Similarly, I thought Stephen Kolek, there's so much you can say about this performance, and I want to get to it. Let's check traffic, and I want to talk more about why it was beyond a remarkable start for Stephen Kolek. And we'll do that next here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change, your 15-minute drive-through oil change. Got a few problems here. We've got a crash on the northbound 125 just before the 54. Looks like that may be in the clearing stage. Stalled car middle lanes, westbound King Freeway just for the 805. And an accident has cleared on northbound 5 at the Pershing off-ramp. San Diego, before you cruise out this Memorial Day, stop by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. No appointment needed, just 15 minutes and you're road trip ready. Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Experts you can trust. Visit SoCalOilChange.com for coupons. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Wood, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
I think Dominic, Tier 1 Dominic, nailed it in our chat. He said it's also nice that a 21-run game in Coors Field wasn't 21-20.
No, it wasn't. Thanks to Stephen Kolek, who, people don't throw complete games at Coors Field, and they certainly don't throw complete game shutouts. How rare is it?
People don't throw complete games in baseball
they don't.
As often anymore.
The only pitcher in Padres history who has ever done it until Stephen Kolek, Andy Ashby, had the only complete game shutout at Coors Field.
Did Kevin Brown have one? Or maybe just a complete game?
I think it was just a complete game. I believe they said in the broadcast that the only complete game shutout by a Padres pitcher at Coors Field belonged to Andy Ashby. It was nearly a Maddox, which is a complete game shutout that is done in under 100 pitches. He had a chance, gave up a single in the 9th, and ended up going to 102 pitches or 104 before it was over. But 104 pitches, still
pretty damn efficient.
What makes it so remarkable is that to throw a shutout, you have to really stay locked in for the entire 9 innings, especially at Coors Field.
Mm-hmm.
It's so hard to stay locked in when you're up by 15, 18, 20, 21 runs.
Dude, I would love to go back and look. Like, how long were those innings? Like, the 4th inning, we scored 8 runs. Like, that messes with your
you're sitting
rhythm.
down forever, and then
An
you have to get
8-run
back
inning
up.
followed by a 4-run inning. Like it's hard to stay locked in when you have a 20-minute break or whatever it was.
Yeah, you would think, oh, this is the easiest start anyone's ever had with that much run support, but it actually is tough to stay locked in when the other team is throwing a catcher on the mound for 2 innings at the end of the game, and you still have to go back out and actually pitch after that. The game has turned into a circus and a sideshow, but you can't let yourself turn into a circus and a sideshow. That's what, for me, made it such an impressive start by Stephen Kolek. Now, is he going to go on and win the Cy Young Award? Is he going to be a top starter in Major League Baseball? I'm not envisioning that for Stephen Kolek, but he certainly looks like he could be very much a member of the Padres starting rotation, as the number 5 guy going forward this season. And if he continues to pitch well, probably could earn himself like a spot in the starting rotation going forward. They're going to have to replace starters next year. That's an inevitability. I mean, we want him to sign Michael King, but Dylan Cease and Michael King are not both coming back next year on free agent deals for the San Diego Padres. At best, you have to replace at least one of those guys. Stephen Kolek could be one of the guys. You're getting Joe Musgrove back, hopefully, but Stephen Kolek looks like someone who could be a long-term member of the Padres rotation. And I know I'm getting ahead of myself after just 2 starts, but
a little bit.
I've loved what I've seen. 5-pitch mix. He's definitely not the same pitcher that was taken in the Rule 5 draft last year and was hidden at the back end of the bullpen all year long. He's developed. He's worked with Ruben Niebla. He's taken steps forward, and you love to see it, because the one thing that the Padres must have going forward to be a consistently successful franchise, they're never going to be able to spend as much as the Dodgers, even with good investments in the team. They need to develop their own starting pitching. They can't afford to just go out and pay for Dylan Cease and Michael King and Yu Darvish and Joe Musgrove and have a $150 million rotation every year. They must develop their own starting pitchers. And right now,
you got to develop your own frontline starting pitchers.
Yes. And,
Randy Vasquez, you need those guys as well.
It's the one area that I think the Padres and the minors are lacking. They have the position players and DeVries and Salas that are at the top and in the rankings. Where are the pitchers in the minor leagues that are coming up?
Mackenzie Gore may have been that guy, and he got just a taste here in San Diego, and he's gone on. He's going to have a fine career with the Nationals or wherever he ends up signing when his contract is up. But, we've seen the Ryan Weathers come and go, the Chris Paddocks come and go. It's been a while since we've developed a legitimate, 1 or a 2.
And I'm not saying Stephen Kolek is that. He's not. He's not he's almost certainly not going to be a 1 or a 2, I don't think, in Major League Baseball. I'm saying that it shows you that the Padres have the ability to develop pitching internally. And hopefully that will then lead to maybe one of the, Boston Bateman or one of the recent signings, one of the recent draft picks will turn into that homegrown, developed frontline starter in the next couple of years. Because the only way for the Padres to expand this window of competitiveness, the potential championship window for the San Diego Padres, it's open now. But if they run out of pitching and they can't afford to bring back everybody like Dylan Cease and Michael King, which they can't.
They won't. Yeah.
They're going to have to find it somewhere, and it's going to have to come from within their own organization. And the sign that they can do that, those signs have been missing, really. I mean, you mentioned Mackenzie Gore, and now he's finally, probably turning into what the Padres envisioned with the Washington Nationals. He's getting up there to be a top guy in their rotation, but that hasn't really happened much for AJ Preller over the last 10 years. Is this a good sign that the Padres are advancing in their pitching development? I think it is. I think it's a good sign. It's not a finished product. It's by no means a guarantee.
I mean, yes.
But I like what I'm seeing here.
It looks like they may have found something with Stephen Kolek, but I think you said it earlier in that when you look at the top Padres prospects, where are the pitchers?
I don't know.
So
I mean, Omar Cruz.
That's a little concerning that they're not even there.
I know it's really the guys who were drafted last year with the first couple of picks, but you're going to need to wait a couple of years on those guys.
Yeah, those are the guys you're hoping to help you out in like 28, 29.
Yeah, next year's dicey. You're hoping Joe Musgrove comes back and looks like Joe. You're hoping Darvish can have, as he gets older, stretch one more good year, hopefully out of Darvish.
Yeah, I don't know that you're getting much beyond that.
At that point, and you got Nick Pivetta, hopefully coming back. That's a solid start.
What's
Can you
Pivetta's
sign Michael
deal
King
again?
4 years.
But is there an opt-out?
There's maybe after 2 years.
He got very creative.
I think after 2 years, but the first 2, he's definitely here.
He's
only getting like $1 million
money.
this year. He's getting like 19 next year, but he has to stay for that. I think for that to get that 19 next year. So then he can opt out. But he's here, part of the rotation next year.
So that'll help.
Darvish and Musgrove, and we'll see if they can come up with a way to keep Michael King, which would be great. But you're still going to need a Randy Vasquez, a Stephen Kolek. You're going to need to continue developing your own starting pitching. And we haven't seen any signs of that from the San Diego Padres till now. We're starting to see a little bit of that. And I think Stephen Kolek is just kind of hopefully the front edge of that wave that will turn into more pitching development from the Padres from the minor leagues.
See, Ray says trade Cease and get pieces to grab a starter with control.
I heard someone else, was at Vaughn's yesterday, and Eric, who was checking me out, said, hey, do you think they could trade Cease for like a pitcher and a left fielder? Who are you?
So here's the thing. If you're trading Cease, the team that you're acquiring him,
they're not wanting to give up anything.
They want pitching.
Yeah, they're going for
they're
it.
Contenders.
So
if you're getting a rental in Dylan Cease, you're a contender. You're not giving up any pitching.
Exactly.
And,
future pitching maybe, but the Padres want to win now too.
Right. And I was just going to say, I don't know that even AJ Preller could sell, hey, I know everything's going well. We're in the playoff hunts. We're in position. Things are going well. We're going to trade our number 1 or our number 2. That's just I don't think that's going to happen. I think the time to trade Dylan Cease is come and gone.
I think the Padres are going to be looking to add at the trade deadline. Certainly not subtract to Dylan Cease. If you want to have success in the playoffs, you're going to need Dylan Cease throwing well. And I know his playoff track record hasn't been great, but you're not going to find a better pitcher than Dylan Cease without giving up a ton right now. So no, I don't see that happening going forward. All right, we'll come back. 2 hours to go. We'll talk about Friday's game, the rest of Major League Baseball, and SDFC's big win as well. All coming up. Ben and Paul on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Hour number 3 on a Monday. Welcome back. It is Ben Higgins and Paul Reindl. Stephen Woods under the weather and hopefully back tomorrow. Can pull us together with some foreplay tomorrow morning and get us caught up on whatever happened over his weekend. I do feel, Paulie, that whatever he did this weekend somehow contributed to him being under the weather today with what he described in our early morning text as cluster headaches, which sound miserable.
Oh, it sounds terrible. I've had headaches and migraines, but never like this rolling, ongoing cluster headaches, sharp stabbing or burning in nature lasting 15 minutes to 3 hours and occurs once every other day, up to 8 times daily, according to the interwebs. So yeah, it doesn't sound fun. Now, I'm curious. I actually made it out to the coast a little bit later on Saturday, but it was a hot one. We had a crazy heat wave this weekend.
Hottest day of the year on Saturday, I believe.
Yeah. Escondido, where I live, it was 95, 96, 97, Friday and Saturday. So we know Woods went out on Friday night and may have had some adult beverages. We know that he coached multiple Little League games in the heat on Saturday. Maybe my man needs to drink a little more Eco water.
It's possible. They did say that both alcohol consumption and weather changes can trigger the headaches.
There you go.
What was disturbing, though, on that graphic that you had up in our YouTube stream was that apparently they occur around the same time every day for up to like 3 or 4 months. Does this mean that Woodsy is just every morning is going to be miserable for the next 4 months? Because I don't know that I want to work with him if that's going to be the case. If he's just going to be miserable with headaches in the morning, like every other morning for the rest of the baseball season, that sounds like a nightmare, honestly. I mean, I want him back. I really do.
But I can't do 4 months of maybe waking up to a text, maybe not.
That would be
either way. He won't
rough.
be in a good mood.
I hope he delivered he always puts a lot of pressure on himself or feels a lot of pressure to deliver a good Mother's Day for Hannah. I have no idea how that went yesterday.
I didn't hear anything.
I got to see my mom yesterday, which was nice. Dropped off a gift from my mother-in-law, got some flowers for my wife, mother of our children. So I think we executed all right. We didn't do a ton. Shelly was working all day yesterday, but I think we had a successful Mother's Day weekend. How about your Mother's Day weekend? Successful?
Mother's Day weekend was good.
Okay.
The mother-in-law, who is local, she got flowers and dinner and all that, and some gifts. And then my mom, who lives up in coastal Washington State, she got a gift that was delivered yesterday, which always helps. Where you can get it delivered on Mother's Day.
On a Sunday, yeah.
Yeah, on a Sunday. Thank you, Amazon. And I got a little bit of a bone to pick with my mother, who may or may not be watching right now on YouTube. So me and Megan got her the Aura digital frame, which is something that I think Woods got for his parents in Texas. And it's great. My mom has wanted one. And now she's got it.
Doesn't it connect to your social media accounts and everything, and
probably
your phone library?
I don't know if it connects, but it's run through an app. And so the way it works is my mom can now upload photos from her phone onto her digital frame, and she has invited me and Megan as well with the app. So now we, from our phones here in San Diego, can upload pictures instantly to her digital frame. And she goes, "This is amazing. I feel like I'm more connected with you guys. Like I get to see all the fun stuff. Like thank you so much." So I called her yesterday. She got it all set up and she's very excited about it. And then later in the night yesterday, I'm sitting there with my wife and I opened up the Aura app and I was able to see not just the pictures that I uploaded for her to go to her digital frame. I'm able to see what pictures she put in as well. And it's kind of funny to see what my mom thought is what she deemed frame worthy, right? It's a beautiful picture of a sunset over the water. She had a picture of a whale breaching. They went on a whale watching trip recently. And I'm like, okay, that's great. Pictures of me, pictures of her, the rest of the family. Then we started getting into some really weird cropped photos, like oddly cropped photos, like zoomed in and cropped weird, like cutting off half your face. She hasn't quite figured that part out.
Okay.
And I started laughing. I'm like, just kind of looking at what she deemed worthy of making it into the digital frame. And then I noticed there was a picture, like I'll put it up here. I'm blast her right here on YouTube, on the YouTube stream. She cut off her own face and she cropped it, zoomed in super well, super close, cut off right above her eyes. And I thought, Mom, you got to learn how to crop better. And then I sit next to Megan and I go, son of a bitch, that's me sitting next to her. She cropped me out of her own picture.
You got cropped out of the picture?
To go into the digital frame. That's the picture.
Look at young Paula.
That was like 11 years ago.
Look at that. You're barely old enough to probably drink in that picture.
That was actually, oddly enough, at a winery about 10 or 11 years ago. So I get my mom this digital frame. She doesn't know how to use the cropping or anything like that. And she crops me out of her digital frame. And I thought, I just got inadvertently owned by my own mother on Mother's Day.
I mean, it's one thing if it just works better, framed a different way and like the
landscape or horizontal.
But to actually badly crop yourself just to take your son out, that doesn't speak well of you, Paul.
No, it doesn't. So, Happy Mother's Day, Mom, and all the other great
I would
moms
think
out
so.
there.
I don't have an Aura frame. I would think that a big decision would be how quickly do you want them to cycle through the photos? I assume you can make different settings.
I think she's got it set to 1 minute. Every minute they cycle.
Okay,
through.
that's not bad because I wouldn't want it changing every like 10 seconds. Like that would be too much.
Yeah.
But I like a minute or a couple minutes. Like leave it there for a while, and then all of a sudden you look up, and the next time you look up, oh, it's a different picture now. But I wouldn't want to just sit there watching it constantly change through different photos all morning long.
No, it's a great idea. It's a really unique gift. If you have family that aren't local, I think it's a great idea. Keeps them connected, and older people like my mom, they love that kind of stuff.
Do want to wish hopefully good health, not just to Woods, but also to Jackson Merrill, who missed yesterday's game. We didn't even bring that up in our recap when Jackson Merrill was not available.
A little ouchie.
Not even an ouchie. They're calling it a stomach bug. Mike Schilt was not sure whether it was
Hey boy, I told you not to eat them Rocky Mountain oysters.
Viral related or food related, but Jackson Merrill apparently got up yesterday and was not able to keep down any foods. Went back to sleep, got up, still felt miserable. They gave him some fluids, but clearly wasn't available for the game yesterday because there was a situation where you could have brought him in as a pinch hitter. Bases were loaded and would have been a great spot to get Jackson Merrill up into the game. Maybe the one chance for the Padres to get back into the game yesterday. Did not happen. I don't even know, was he even there or did he just meet the team afterwards to get on the plane and get back to San Diego?
I did not see him. Yeah, I'm not sure. He may not have been there yesterday.
I do think that Jackson Merrill right now, no offense to Manny Machado or Fernando Tatis Jr., but Jackson Merrill right now might be the Padres' most important player for a variety of reasons. I mean, he's insanely hot. Just every time he goes up to the plate, you expect something.
This is Jackson Merrill.
You expect something good to happen.
He's extremely hot. Good baseball player as well.
Yeah.
We talked about it in the 7:00 hour of what this. Now you can't ever expect a team to put up 24 hits, 21 runs like they did on Saturday night, but you did get an idea of what that full lineup can look like when you add Merrill, who we got back earlier in the week in New York, but also adding Jake Cronenworth. It just really lengthens that lineup just a little bit more. And you start to go, oh yeah, this is that team that got out to the 15-3 start or whatever they did, because we've been without Merrill for almost a month, and Crony was not that much further behind him. We were really missing those guys.
Yeah, Jackson Merrill's not worth 18 runs. I mean, that's not the 21-3 is not just by Jackson Merrill
greatest
being
baseball player of all time
out, but you can see how quickly the Padres lineup gets lengthened and then shrunk a little bit when you're missing just one or two guys.
Yep.
It definitely is a different looking lineup and not as intimidating for an opposing starting pitcher to run through. So hopefully Jackson Merrill is back today. The stomach bugs can be tricky. Sometimes you feel great, like just get some fluids, get it all out of your system, and you're like fine the next day. Other times you can be wiped out for like 3 or 4 days. If it's a real bug and you can't keep anything down and you start losing some weight and not good. So we'll find out more today when the Padres return home to host the Angels. We talked about Saturday's big win. I was also trying to kind of watch the SDFC game while that was happening. And I didn't feel like I was really missing much when I was watching the Padres because nothing happened first 75 plus minutes of the game. It was scoreless, and it looked like they might end in a scoreless draw, just like they did the first time they played St. Louis, a defensive team that doesn't score a lot. And then they erupted for the 2 goals in the last 10 minutes of the game. Milan Olowski scored for the second straight time, the Escondido native. And then Andres Dreyer scored in the 87th minute. Took a 2-0 lead, did give up a late goal in stoppage time, but a big win. SDFC ends a 3-game road losing streak, wins their second in a row. And we'll talk more soccer this week because they have their first midweek game on Wednesday.
That's right.
When they return home to host the Colorado Rapids, and then another home game on Saturday against Sporting KC. So it's a big week.
Wednesday is a night game.
It's a night game opposite the Padres night game, which is, I thought maybe the Padres would do a getaway day game.
They don't have the getaway. That's
but right. I don't think they do.
I thought we were going to have the old day night. Huh.
Yeah, you're going to have competing, I believe.
Yeah, you're right.
Games at the
Wednesday.
same time, 6:30, 6:40 on Wednesday night. So
I totally
Mission
thought it was
Valley,
a 1:10 start.
You're not going to be able to go to both the games at the same time. It's not the first time they've gone head to head at the same time, but certainly on a Wednesday night.
No, we just had it a couple of weeks ago on a Saturday, but I completely assumed 1:10 start on Wednesday. I was even going to suggest maybe the 3 of us go down there and get some work done, but
they're not doing it though. It's a night game. It's the bucket hat night game. Trying to get a big crowd at Petco Park. I'm sure they want a big crowd at Snapdragon Stadium. It'll be kind of interesting to see what happens on a school night, on a weekday night, or a work night, and 2 big games where they're hoping to get 70,000 plus fans at both places. Can San Diego do that on the same night? It's going to be kind of interesting. So we'll talk about that coming up. I want to take a break, though, because we are going to have John Flint coming in and filling in for Woodsy on Take on Wood. So if you want to take on John, doesn't really make the game any easier. John's pretty good as well. He's good.
He is good.
But you can try to qualify for our grand prize getaway to Las Vegas and concert tickets to see Bruno Mars and a $100 gift card. Call now, 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Play our game when we come back with John Flint. And then we'll have Dennis Lynn, our Linsider from The Athletic, join us at the bottom of the hour. All coming up on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. First, though, congratulations to me. I had a big win at Prize Picks over the weekend. It was actually a lineup that I saw on Twitter from our friend Pitching Ninja, who had some strikeout totals. Picked more on strikeouts. Who I have? Jacob deGrom and AJ Smith-Shawver and someone else.
Did you Venmo some money, some of your winnings to Pitching Ninja?
I thanked him for the lineup, and I won 150 actually, which was nice. It's how you do it with Prize Picks. You set daily fantasy sports lineups between 2 and 6 players on your team, and you just pick more or less on the stats. You can win up to 2,000 times your cash. Now, I just did a three-person lineup, so I only won, I think, 5 or 6 times my cash, but hey, play the way you want. Run your own game. That's what they say at Prize Picks. Baseball season's great because there's games every single night, but right now you can cash in on the basketball playoffs as well. Points, rebounds, assists, hockey playoffs, so many different ways you can mix and match from different sports as well. However you're watching sports, you can do it with Prize Picks. Just make sure you download the app and use our code, KWFN, to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Get you started with a lot of fun play right at the outset by using the code KWFN. Download the Prize Picks app. Get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Start today. Start this week. It's Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details.
Hey players, things are about to get real here in San Diego. Introducing the all-new Hamul Casino Resort. With a 200-room hotel tower, exciting new eats and drinks, plenty of new places to play, and a luxe spa and salon. Hello, rooftop pool and deck. It's where players can play their hearts out and enjoy all the perks that come with it. It gets real this summer at the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the players' place.
All right, now we can come back. One hard and fast rule on this program: you don't interrupt Ram Jam.
No.
And I wanted to get going because we got John Flint in studio, who is filling in. Woods has he texted us very early this morning saying he has been hit by cluster headaches, which sound awful. But I appreciate you coming in, John, from down the hall at KSON.
Hi, guys. Good morning. Hope everyone had a wonderful Mother's Day weekend. Mom, I love you.
Thank you. Yeah, we had a good. We talked about our moms and our Mother's Day weekend. You're cheering for not only just your Padres, but also your Minnesota Timberwolves, who are in the playoffs. Usually, you're cheering for the draft lottery today, but not this time.
Last year we went to the conference finals as well. Come on now, calm down. But yes,
Ann Edwards is a star.
He's a jerk, but yes, I'm glad he plays for us. I will say this: we got to take care of business. Like I have anything to do with it. I went to college and high school in suburban Minneapolis, so this is definitely my team, and I'm excited about Ant, and I'm excited about everything they got going on. And I hope, fingers crossed, they can take advantage of Steph not being in the lineup and beat these Warriors.
And thanks to the Twins for sweeping the Giants over the weekend as well. That's appreciated.
If I'm not mistaken, my number 1A favorite team in baseball, the Minnesota Twins, I think they've won like 9-10 straight games now.
Yeah, they're hot.
Yeah, good.
Good timing against the NL West. All right, we got contestants on the line. We will banish you for a couple of minutes and bring you back for your portion of the game. Let's play it. Let's take on John. All right, let's go right to the top of the board. Is this Scott?
Cheers. How are you, Ben?
Good, Scott. How are you? You ready to take on John?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, a game today brought to you by Bay Alarm, security and fire alarms for every business. We got you, and we got you a grand prize in the works. If you can beat or tie John, you will qualify for our trip to Las Vegas, 2-night stay at the Park MGM, $100 gift card, and tickets to see Bruno Mars at Dolby Live at Park MGM on September 3rd. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com, and we're going to give you the category to choose from today. Your choices are All aboard. It is train is the theme for that category. V is for victory. 5 bands that begin with the letter V. And a groovy category. 5 songs with the word groove in the title. So all aboard. V is for victory or a groovy category, Scott?
Do V.
V. V is for victory. All right. Today we're looking for 5 bands whose names all begin with the letter V. You'll have 60 seconds. If you don't know an answer, you can pass. We'll come back to it if there's time left on the clock. First question is the 2-second song. You not only have to give me the band name that starts with V, you also have to give me that song title to score that point. Scott, are you ready to play?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. 60 seconds on the clock. The category is V is for victory. Your time begins when Paul plays our music. Good luck, Scott. Let's take on John.
Now it's Van Halen. I got to think about it first.
All right. Randy Jones, not the Cy Young lefty, dressed up as the Cowboys, an original member of which costume 70s
Village
disco?
People.
Correct. Which folk punk band's 1983 debut album features some of their best-known hits, including Blister in the Sun?
God. Pass. I'll come back to
Andy
that.
Warhol served as manager for which 60s band that featured Lou Reed as the lead singer?
Velvet Underground.
Correct. Formed in 2006 in New York City, which band quickly broke out with songs including A-Punk and Oxford Comma?
Vampire Weekend.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the 2-second song, see if you can give me the title.
Is that Panama?
That is Panama.
Van
You got
Halen.
Van Halen. Which folk punk band's 1983 debut album featured some of their best-known hits?
Violent
Include
Femmes.
Very
Damn.
good. He comes
Well
back.
done.
Scotty, stay on the line. You have qualified for our grand prize drawing. Van Halen, Panama, Village People, Violent Femmes, Velvet Underground, Vampire Weekend. John can only tie. Now, he's very good at this game as well. So let's see how he does. Gets the category here. You're going up against Scott, John. The category is V is for victory. So we got 5 bands that begin with the letter V.
5? There's 5 of them?
There are. You ready to go?
All right.
All right, 60 seconds on the clock. Your time begins when Paul plays the music. Good luck, John. Let's take on Scott.
Van Halen, Panama.
Correct. Randy Jones, not the Cy Young lefty, dressed up as the Cowboys.
Village People.
Correct. Which folk punk band's 1983 debut album features some of their best-known hits, including Blister in the Sun?
Violent Femmes.
Correct. Andy Warhol served as manager for
Velvet Underground.
Correct. Formed in 2006 in New York City, which band quickly broke out with songs including A-Punk and Oxford Comma?
Vampire Weekend.
Wow. We have a perfect 5 against 5 score today. Johnny, very well done. You did a little faster, but Scott, you have qualified
Nice job,
for our
Scott.
grand prize drawing. Best played game of the month. And
No
Woods
kidding.
wasn't even a part of it.
10 straight. Boom.
Very nicely done. There
Thanks,
are
guys.
5 bands
Thanks,
that
Johnny.
start with the letter V right there.
I can't believe I got that last one.
Very nicely
I
done.
knew it.
John, thank you for stopping
Thanks,
by.
boys.
John
Good
Flint,
pause.
congratulations. Scott in Scripps Ranch, congratulations. You are into the drawing for our grand prize. Wow. I mean, it's not
Look at
it's like we
that.
don't even need Woods anymore in this
No.
game. So we had, of course, our grand championship. And then we had Woods won it during our Christmas and holiday extravaganza. But then John came back in a rematch
That's right.
later and beat Woodsy. So they really are neck and neck. I
I
mean,
have to schedule another one.
really, really good competition between those two, but great job by Scott as well. It's,
Maybe we do the rubber match, maybe like during summer break.
oh,
or
that'd be
something
fun.
like that.
Yeah. When we've got the All-Star break and we
Yeah.
got some days to kill, that would be a good time to do another rematch between John and I've always loved the idea of a tournament of champions someday as well, where we get the best contestants
Oh, yeah.
and
We got a
bring them
few.
back.
We
And-
got a few to
yeah,
choose
we
from.
definitely got some. Scott's playing his way perhaps into the tournament of champions at some point. All right, let's take a timeout. When we come back, it is time for our Linsider. Dennis Lynn of The Athletic. He covered the road trip, was on, I think, all or most of it on the road with the San Diego Padres. So I'm sure he's glad to be getting back to San Diego to cover a homestand. But the good and the bad from a 6-3 road trip for your San Diego Padres. The weird weekend in Colorado. We will cover it all with Dennis Lynn from The Athletic coming up after a quick timeout with Ben and Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Hey players, things are about to get real here in San Diego. Introducing the all-new Jamul Casino Resort. With a 200-room hotel tower, exciting new eats and drinks, plenty of new places to play, and a luxe spa and salon. Hello, rooftop pool and deck. It's where players can play their hearts out and enjoy all the perks that come with it. It gets real this summer at the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the players' place.
We're back. Scott, sorry, Paulie didn't get to you during the break. He's still hanging on to get his information. And go ahead, talk to Scott, Paulie. We'll get Dennis Lynn joining us from The Athletic in just a couple of minutes. Our Linsider. I wanted to, we haven't really gotten to Friday's game yet at all. Padres and Rockies, the series opener, which clearly, started out looking like it was going to be an absolute runaway win as the Padres scored 4 in the third and 5 in the fifth and, put together a double-digit lead. Then nearly saw the whole thing melt away with some more bullpen struggles. In particular, Sean Reynolds and Wandy Peralta, who gave up 5 in the 8th and 2 in the 9th before Robert Suarez was forced in for a 3-pitch save. At the time, the big concern was, can't believe he needed to use Robert Suarez in that game. It turned out not to be an issue as they didn't use Robert Suarez on Saturday or Sunday. So honestly, getting him in for 3 pitches is not the worst thing in the world. The bigger concern, obviously, is that there's been some weaknesses now in the very back end of the Padres bullpen.
Yes.
It's every team is going to have weaknesses in the back end of their bullpen from time to time. There's no bullpen that is 1 through 8 just lights out dominant all the way through. It's never happened in baseball history. It's never going to happen where you don't have a couple of guys who struggle at some points during the season. I do think, while I tend to be the most measured member of our threesome when it comes to things like that, I do think there is some concern just having seen Wandy Peralta struggle now multiple appearances in a row. He was looking pretty decent early in the year, getting his ground balls. They are teeing off on him right now. And whether it's something mechanical,
it's not good.
Whether he's tipping his pitches, I don't know. But Wandy has been struggling. And it's not so simple as, all right, well, just, get rid of him and move on to someone else. Remember, Wandy is signed for 4 essentially 1-year contracts with player options that he can opt into every single year at $4 to $5 million. It's almost like you need to get Wandy going again, get him going for a month or two, like you did at the beginning of the season, and then see if someone will bite on a trade at some point, like a team that needs a left-handed reliever.
Yeah.
But right now, obviously, his stock is down, and you're probably not going to be able to deal him.
He's had 1 clean inning in his last 5 outings. Yeah. That was last Sunday, the 4th, against the Pirates. He went 1 inning, nice clean appearance. But then after that, 2/3 of an inning against the Yankees, 4 hits, 6 earned runs. 2 walks, no strikeouts. Then Friday night, Colorado, just 1 out. He gave up 4 hits, 2 earned runs. And then yesterday, he pitched 1 inning, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, and a walk.
And, when you're down by 6, it doesn't really matter that much. But
it kind of matters.
Yeah, I mean, you can hide him at the back end of your bullpen, just like the Padres hid Steven Kolek for most of the year last year. That last guy, it's fine. It's when you all of a sudden have 3 guys who are struggling. And Sean Reynolds, was really excited about Sean Reynolds this year. Our friend Tom on Twitter was pointing out his metrics did not look very good the first couple of times he went out there. His numbers, velocity, movement have been down a little bit. Now, part of that could be whatever, dealing with the injury and coming back and trying to get locked in for the season. I was expecting Sean Reynolds to be a 7th, 8th inning guy for the Padres this year. He's nowhere near that right now. So now you have 2 guys at the back end of your bullpen that you are having questions about. And then that's when it starts to become an issue, because you're going to need at least one of those 2 guys every 2 or 3 days to come in and hopefully hold a 2-run deficit. I mean, we're not asking the moon, but Padres can come back and win some of these games if they keep it close. They're not going to fall behind a ton, but you do need those guys at the back end of your bullpen to kind of right the ship and figure it out. So it all came, though, in relief on Friday of Randy Vasquez, who was terrific, really, really fantastic. Gave up just 2 solo home runs in his 6 innings. Loved that he was filling up the strike zone at Coors Field with just the 1 walk. Actually got some swing and miss as well, a season-high 5 strikeouts. So Randy Vasquez, with his best outing of the year, came at Coors Field, and his stuff played pretty well there. So we'll talk about all of that, the Padres pitching situation, and get Dennis Lynn on the line. Our Linsider coming up after Check of Traffic here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is brought to you by the Department of Public Works, County of San Diego, and funded by Cal Recycle. Still clearing an accident northbound 125 before Hammershot. It's over to the right shoulder. In the North County, northbound 15 before the 76, we have reports of some sort of metal debris in the slow lane. Bring in a used oil filter and get a new one free from County of San Diego Recycling at AutoZone stores in Ramona, Fallbrook, Lakeside, Spring Valley, and Valley Center on May 17th from 10 to 1. Restrictions apply. Details at wastefreesd.org. Funded by Cal Recycle. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben & Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Happy Monday, Padres fans. It's time to discuss the weekend that was for the Padres with our Ben & Woods Linsider, Dennis Lynn from The Athletic. Brought to you by the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the player's place. Things are about to get real with the all-new Jamul Casino Resort. With gorgeous rooms and exciting new eats and drinks, it gets real this summer at Jamul Casino Resort, the player's place.
And as we bring Dennis Lynn onto the program, Dennis, I hope you didn't eat at the same place Jackson Merrill did on Saturday night.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, no chance of that. I actually was not in Colorado.
Oh, good. Okay.
So I hope Jackson didn't get into some Rocky Mountain oysters or whatever he ate. I hope he's doing better.
Yeah, I do too. Padres need him. You can see, obviously, from Saturday and Friday's games how lengthened the Padres lineup looks with every single member available. Now, I'm not saying that Jackson Merrill's worth 18 runs. I know he's not. But, the domino effect when you start taking one or two guys out of the Padres lineup, it's been very apparent over these first month and a half of the season what a different team they are when they're at full strength, and then, how they have to kind of just scrape by when they're not.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. Even if the Padres went 15-9 without Jackson, and I know it was more than just him who was out for that stretch, but yeah, you can just see the difference when he's in the lineup, when he's batting cleanup, and versus when he's not. And I think it's too early to say he's the best hitter on this team, but the way he's going right now, I know it's only been a small sample size in second season in the league, but I think it's fair to say he's probably the hitter that you'd least want to face as an opposing pitcher right now in the Padres, just given what he's doing and the fact that he took a month off, not by choice, of course, and then came back and hit the ground running right away, almost hit 2 home runs in that series at Yankee Stadium. I think, he's probably the most dangerous hitter going on the Padres right now.
But I'd say, Dennis, even though the Padres scored 37 runs over the weekend in Colorado, the most remarkable thing that we saw was Stephen Kolek's pitching performance on Saturday. A complete game shutout at Coors Field just isn't done. It's one of the rarest of rares in Major League Baseball. And you can say, no pressure on him with such a big lead. I would argue it's even harder to do with the lead that he had in terms of keeping your focus. What are you seeing from Stephen Kolek? Can he truly be the starter at the back end of the rotation that the Padres have been looking for here at the start of the season?
Yeah, no doubt, Ben. I mean, just the fact that he saved the bullpen by going 9 innings at Coors Field, no matter how bad the Rockies are, and I'm sure we can get to that later, but just the fact that he was able to save a bullpen that had worked pretty hard the night before, that's huge. So if you're going to do that and you're going to have a 0.00 ERA, I'd say, you're in pretty good line to keep your spot at the back rotation. Obviously, we'll see how he does in other places and how he fares against more competitive teams who aren't fielding like AAA lineups. But he's got to pitch the sinker that generates a ton of ground balls, helps him eat innings, and he's got about 4 or 5 other pitches on top of that. So I think his second year in the league, first year obviously was a bit of a struggle and a challenge for him as a Rule 5 pick, but he's learned to better sequence his pitches, and he's got good stuff. So I think the Padres have to consider themselves pretty fortunate that they have a guy like that sitting back at number 5 or number 6 in the rotation, depending on when Yu Darvish comes back.
Talking to our Linsider, Dennis Lin, Padres baseball this morning from The Athletic. And let's get into how bad the Rockies were. Nationally, that was probably the bigger story than, whatever the Padres did, losing 21-0 and then firing Bud Black yesterday. I said this morning, Dennis, I think it's a gift to Bud Black to let him go from this team. There was no hope whatsoever. Watching him in the dugout on television, Bud's a very positive guy. He looked pained having to watch that team, and honestly, he's got nothing to prove at this point, and he'll have other opportunities if he wants, maybe not as a manager, but certainly to work for another team. What was your read on the situation out of Denver this weekend?
That nothing's going to change even after this move. I think his former protege Dave Roberts put it well, saying that even Casey Stengel couldn't change the outcome of that team. That team being the Rockies, it's just it's a mess over there, and it's kind of been a mess for the last however many years, even though they made the playoffs twice under Buddy's watch in 2017 and 2018. Because if you look at their front office and their ownerships, everyone's been in place for 20, 30 years, and it's a terrible place to try to build a baseball team because it's not real baseball. Playing in elevation half your games, and until they do something drastically different, until they learn to win on the margins like the Tampa Bay Rays and, hire a ton of analysts, just because that's even more important because the fact that they're playing on the surface of the moon up there. yeah, they're just going to keep turning out the same results. And they do spend money, more so than the Rays at least, and they do draw crowds. So it's kind of a shame that it's gone to this. But it struck me over the weekend. Just it was almost a decade since Buddy was let go in San Diego, and obviously AJ Preller has learned a few lessons since then. But I don't think that the Rockies have learned any lessons. And yeah, they're going to be super relevant for the foreseeable future, but also this year, I think they're going to be relevant in the sense that depending on how teams in the NL West, including the Padres, do against them, that's going to decide, playoff seeding, playoff berths. So far for the Padres, yesterday aside, they're doing well in that department. They're 5-1 against the Rockies, but I think if I'm counting correctly, the Dodgers are 3-0 against them, and the Giants are 3-1 against them. So yeah, those games at Coors Field and those games against the Rockies are really going to count.
Talking to Dennis Lynn from The Athletic, and this all, kind of look back at the comments that Dick Monfort, the owner of the Rockies, made when the Padres were, spending money, and he wasn't a big fan of it, didn't see the sustainability of it all, and you can say the Padres are having the last laugh with Petco Park sold out almost every single night and the Rockies languishing in last place. But the one part of his comment that still kind of, worries me as a Padres fan is that where are the Padres going to find the money to keep some of these players, especially in the pitching rotation with Dylan Cease and Michael King, both slated to be free agents? I don't see any way on earth they can bring both of them back. They'd probably be lucky, Dennis, to bring one of them back, which – why I was encouraged to see what Stephen Kolek did over the weekend. But where do you think the Padres are going to find starting pitching going forward that is going to be able to be affordable enough where they're going to be able to pay their other players and still move on? Because it hasn't been one of A.J. Preller's great success stories, is developing his own minor league pitching talent over these last 10 years.
Right. I think some of it's going to be the same story as it has been. It seems like the last 5-6 years, he always finds a way to sign or trade for someone, maybe relatively late in the offseason, just like he did with Nick Pivetta, who, by the way, is going to be around for at least one more season before he can opt out. And so far, it looks like a pretty good deal for the Padres. But yeah, Stephen Kolek's emergence would be huge if that's indeed what's happening. They've got a few guys in the not at the upper levels of the minors right now, but getting closer, who could be factors as we get toward 2026. Braden Nets being one of them, undrafted free agent, who's really risen up the prospect rankings. But yeah, it's probably going to be again something that's going to have to be addressed in the offseason, whether through trade or free agency. Because like you, I don't see both those guys, Dylan Cease and Michael King, coming back. I'd be, at this point, maybe slightly surprised if one of them does come back, either one of them. And I guess I'd lean more toward Michael King, but he's setting himself up for a very healthy free agent contract. And I think I get the sense that he wants to test free agency. But at the same time, he does like San Diego, because this is where he's established himself as a full-time starter, and where, he kind of raves about Ruben Diablo like a lot of pitchers do. So we'll see. I think the Padres have a chance, but yeah, it's going to have to be maybe more pulling a rabbit out of a hat kind of deal for AJ Preller going into next offseason.
We talked a little bit earlier about some of the injury updates from the Padres. Just what are you kind of hearing, Dennis? You Darvish, I know the rumor is a rehab start on Wednesday for El Paso. Could that be his only rehab start? Could we see him perhaps at the start of the next road trip pitching for the Padres again?
Definitely possible. Of course, we'll have to see how he comes out of that upcoming rehab start, and whether the Padres decide he needs another one after that. I think in recent years, you're seeing guys have shorter rehab assignments, depending on just their experience and how much they feel they're on track. And Darvish obviously has as much experience as anybody, and is as in tune with his body as pretty much anybody in the majors. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him come off after one rehab start. Also wouldn't be surprised to see him go up for another one, just because he's been out for the entire season, and he's 38 going on 39, and he wants to make sure things are locked in. And the Padres also don't mind having him fresh down the stretch, or as fresh as possible down the stretch. So I wouldn't be shocked if they take it slower with him and give him 2 rehab starts. But yeah, it looks like he's trending either way toward a late May return, and Padres could definitely use that because they've got a couple stretches, 9 games in 9 days and 13 games in 13 days coming up near the end of the month. So yeah, I think it's definitely good news that he's heading out for a real game pretty soon.
All right, last thing, Dennis, and Paulie, I want you to think about this as well for our final hour when we come back. But
Okay.
we're now officially a quarter of the way through the baseball season. I think tomorrow or today, somewhere 40 games in, we're 1/4 of the way through the season. If you had to give a letter grade overall, Dennis, to the San Diego Padres for the first quarter of the season, what letter grade would you give them?
I mean, it's got to be an A, right?
Right.
Given,
it's got to be an A.
Given
Doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, their off season, I'd say, if you're being charitable, maybe it was a C or even like a D plus. And so the expectations were low, and then they had a bunch of injuries, and they're sitting like 1 game out of first place in the majors. So given everything that happened leading up to it, I think you got to kind of grade on a curve there. But even if you weren't grading on a curve, and they had a great off season and signed a bunch of guys and were 25-14, I think that's still probably an A. So yeah.
Dennis, good stuff as always. Hopefully we'll catch you at Petco Park sometime this week. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. We'll
Dennis Lynn from The Athletic. Catch him every Monday, 8:35 here on Ben and Woods on 97.3 The Fan. I get the sense, Paulie, that there are some Padres fans out there who would give the team less than a full A for the first quarter of the season. And I think, honestly, there's no other grade that you can possibly give the Padres for the first 40 games than an A. Am I seeing this clearly, or am I putting my rose-colored glasses on?
So I don't disagree with you.
Right.
But I am channeling a little bit of Stephen Woods and protesting and saying that Woods goes away and we already revert to letter grades.
It's a quarter mark of the season. I mean, it's how
what Woods would say.
You want
right
a number grade? All right, grade from 1 to 100, 95. It's an A. It's an A. For
Coming
the San
up next,
Diego
the
Padres.
Mount Rushmore of the San Diego
Padres. It's an A. I say it's an A.
Okay.
We got 1 hour left. More Ben and Woods next on 97.3 The Fan. Polly, don't give me a hard time about throwing out a letter grade for the San Diego Padres. Just because Woodsy would roll his eyes doesn't mean that it's bad radio.
Okay.
There are certainly things that you can point at with the Padres that have been less than perfect in the first 40 games of the season. Xander Bogaerts has been less than perfect. Jason Hayward has been less than perfect.
Yeah, you still have concerns for sure, but that doesn't take away from the results that you've gotten.
It would be hard to pick a team in baseball to give a better grade to. Giants probably get an A as well. Have been surprising. The Dodgers have the best record in baseball. Everyone expected it, though. You have to grade somewhat on a curve of expectations to start the year. And given where we were going into this year, we were hopeful about the San Diego Padres, but I think they've exceeded most of even their own most diehard fans' expectations to be 11 games above 500 at 25-14 at this point in the season, going into their 40th game tonight against the LA Angels. They faced a lot of tough teams, a lot of first and second place teams, and come through with the record that they have. Anything less than an A, I think, would be disingenuous, for the San Diego Padres right now. Now, are there concerns going forward? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. For me, I think the biggest pressing everyday concern is what the Padres are going to do in left field. Tonight, going up against the Angels and Yusei Kikuchi, a left-hander, I expect Brandon Lockridge. Assuming Jackson Merrill is back from his stomach bug, hopefully, I would expect Brandon Lockridge to get the next chance against at least left-handed starters to be the left fielder. But in the vast majority of games against right-handers, Jason Hayward has just not gotten the job done to the levels that you would hope.
I agree.
And I'm not being unrealistic. I don't expect Jason Hayward to be an all-star. I don't even expect him to be Jason Hayward from 5 or 6 years ago. But the at-bats, and I'm not just singling out the double play grounder with the bases loaded. That was frustrating. But I'm taking this as a whole throughout the season. Has 2 home runs. One of them was probably an out. Let's be honest. If it wasn't at Coors Field, he's not going to get any opposite field home runs like that at Petco Park or Dodger Stadium or Oracle Park in the division at night. That was a Coors Field special. And then he had the nice 1 home run in the game where we were sitting in the suite. That was cool. I pulled that one, got a hold of that one. Has a couple of RBIs. He's played some decent defense. He's not killing the San Diego Padres.
I think there's a place for him on the roster still.
I agree.
I don't think he's played himself off the roster like we saw with, say, Yuli Gurriel, or even like getting sent down like Campusano did. Traded like Connor Joe was. We talked about that in our 7 o'clock hour. There's a place for Jason Hayward, at least as of right now. I don't know that it's an everyday starter role. And I threw out the idea to you during a commercial break. I said, how much action has Tyler Wade seen in left field? Because that's somebody I have more confidence in him every day, or at least more regularly. And he filled in fairly admirably when we were down, Merrill and Cronenworth, kind of played that super utility role of wherever the team needed him. And we did see him out in center field. I'm wondering if maybe he could be an option, at least against righties, playing in left field more regularly.
Yeah. Let's not expect Tyler Wade to necessarily keep up a 273 average and a 375 on base percentage.
No, but he's warranted an opportunity.
But he, in a season and a half now, he's done things to help the Padres win games. The speed element always plays. He's not going to hit for any power. I get it. He's going to strike out more than you probably should for a guy who's not going to hit for power. Tyler Wade has his own deficiencies as well.
Of course he does.
I'm still looking at some point outside the organization for a potential starter in left field down the stretch. Now, this may not be until closer to the trade deadline, but AJ Preller has always shown that he is willing to make moves earlier than expected when he sees something, an area where the Padres can improve. And right now, to me, that's the biggest area where the Padres could instantly improve. If they found someone who could consistently deliver a little more offense in left field. I agree with you. Jason Hayward coming off the bench, pinch hit occasionally, spot start occasionally. You can stay in for defensive purposes at the end of the game and be just fine with Jason Hayward out there. Keep his presence in the clubhouse, his veteran leadership. That's been a good thing for the Padres. But if he's starting 115, 120 games right now, that's probably too much at this stage of his career for Jason Hayward. And I hope he's not listening and getting mad at me right now, because I'm scared of Jason Hayward. And it's good that you have some players that are kind of scary a little bit on your team as well, that command a lot of respect. But the at-bats simply don't look as good as the rest of the lineup. Even given the allowances that I'm going to make, and I'm not expecting the same out of Jason Hayward as I do out of Tatis and Machado and Merrill, it just doesn't feel like the bat speed, it's getting there. He's not catching up to even some hittable guys that other guys in the lineup are raking against. And that's just what I've seen so far from Jason Hayward.
I just looked it up. Tyler Wade has played in 469 games. Nice. And he surprisingly has actually played more in left field than any of the other outfield positions.
Okay.
He's played 51 games in left field, including 12 last year. Don't remember those all at like even a little bit. 51 games in the left. He's played 33 in center, where we've seen him most recently 16 times this year. And he's played 30 games in right field. So he knows what he's doing out there. And I think I'm fine with a Lockridge Wade combo right now, and keep Jason Hayward off the bench and whenever you need him.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a couple of the guys coming up from the minor leagues that no one has, Tirso and Ellis did not grab the bull by the horns. Oscar Gonzalez, was sent back down. Obviously, they could bring him back up. It's so tough to tell, though. All those guys, other than Eggy, who's been struggling even at AAA to hit, they all go down and they rake on that AAA level in the Pacific Coast League, in those ballparks against that pitching. But it really tells you almost nothing about whether or not they're going to be successful on the big league level. I think it's one of the real difficulties the Padres have in evaluation. It's the opposite with pitching. You have a guy that has even minimal success in that league pitching wise, bring him right up. They'll probably dominate in the big leagues. But hitting wise, I don't know. I mean, Jackson Merrill came up, and I was worried that, he skipped over AAA. Maybe that was the best thing for him, that he never even had that environment to hit in to begin with. That was the key to the success for Jackson Merrill. Maybe you just keep all of your hitters out of AAA at this point. But it's just so hard to identify. All right, we need a guy to come up. Yeah, pick anyone with a 1,000 plus OPS at AAA right now and think, oh, we'll plug him in. Even if he only has a 800 OPS on the big leagues, it's fine. But they go from 1,000 to like 400 OPS on the big leagues. It's just like you go off a cliff when you call them up, to that final level. And I get it. It's the pitching's much tougher, but it's just not the same. And it's really, really difficult to figure out who can be that guy that comes up and fills in. Now, Gavin Sheets has done a nice job.
Especially the Pacific Coast League out here on this side of the country. Like you do see a lot of teams pull guys from AA just as often as they do from AAA.
I Need Money says, give me Tirso. We saw Tirso.
He had a chance.
It
didn't go great.
It doesn't mean that he is gone forever. You can't also say, hey, came up and struggled Anthony Rizzo style for a month or two, and then it's it. You got to trade him, got to get him out of the organization. That would also be an overreaction to take one stint in the big leagues that didn't go well and then forever make your opinion and go, this guy's just not a big leaguer. He's a 4A player. He's never going to make it.
No, but we're not in necessarily a position where it's keep giving guys chances and keep experimenting. Like you kind of, if you want to be a serious contender, you kind of need to get guys in order, find something that works and hope it works throughout who knows, maybe Tyler Wade filled in pretty well during the 3+ weeks that we were out, a couple of guys. Could he catch fire in a bottle? Could he have maybe not a total Jurickson Profar 2024 type season, but can he come on a regular basis in left field and give you league average defense and put up some competitive at bats? I think he can, and I think he can do it for the duration of the season.
That's the real rub. If you were out of contention, if you were an also ran, it'd be easy to play Tirso or Ellis every day
single day
until he gets going, and then maybe you have something on your hands. But you can't throw a guy out there that is going to maybe cost you games somewhere. that's learning on the big league level. Jason Hayward is not helping you, but he's not costing you games either at this point. Mike Shildt is always going to feel more comfortable right now with Jason Hayward out there. Tyler Wade, you can tell Mike Schildt's comfortable with Tyler Wade, so I think your idea has some merit. He's comfortable with Brandon Lockridge now.
Mm-hmm.
He was never comfortable with Connor Joe. I think that's a big reason why, he was traded.
Wasn't going to work.
Didn't feel comfortable penning Connor Joe into his lineup. I don't think he's necessarily comfortable with Tirso or Nellis. Gave Oscar Gonzalez some chances. He had done it on the big league level. I think that carried some weight with Mike Shildt, but he was close, but he never quite got there. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Oscar again at some point this season. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Tirso again at some point this season, but I don't think that Mike Shildt or AJ Preller are counting on them to be the solution as the everyday left fielder for the pennant drive down the stretch.
Right.
That person.
It's a delicate balance to stay competitive all year long, giving guys chances, etc. It's a delicate balance for Mike Shildt and AJ Preller.
For now, I think it's maybe more Tyler Wade and Brandon Lockridge and some Jason Hayward. In the future, that person is not in the San Diego Padres organization at this moment.
I would agree with
the
that.
guy who starts on August 1st for the San Diego Padres in left field. My prediction: they are not currently in the San Diego Padres organization.
Yeah,
and we will find out what's available and what magic AJ Preller can swing when we get closer to the trading deadline, or even maybe June.
Would you rank the greatest area of needs? Because I was texting with some buddies yesterday. And they're looking at the catcher position, like it's just a black hole there. It's just a black hole. And I go, I don't necessarily disagree, but it does. I get the sense that the team is more than willing to move forward with Diaz and Maldonado throughout the rest of the year. They're just going to ride it through and hope to make the right decisions on a game by game basis between those two. So that's not really a super high, item on my list of concerns, weaknesses, things to address with the trade deadline. I think it's a pitcher or two.
I mean, Elias Diaz and Martin Maldonado are producing at a major league average level right now for catchers, which is beyond my wildest expectations. They have overachieved so far.
I think so.
Yeah. I worry that maybe they'll come back down a little bit after that. So I'm not saying it's not a concern, but you can much more easily improve in the outfield, in left field. There are more players available. There aren't any good catchers out there that are available, or very few.
That's why I get the idea.
And they're going to be costly.
I get the sense that this is who we're rolling with, and let's hope it works out.
I think you can, for minimal investment, trade and find someone who probably can produce at a higher level than you're getting out of left field right now, which is why I think that's ultimately my area at least my first area to address during this season at some point is going to be left field for the Padres.
Yeah, left field, see what Yu Darvish gives you when he does come back, whether that's next week or in a couple of weeks. You'll have some time between Darvish returning and not just like a start or two. He's going to get to settle in, and then you can determine, okay, do we need to add to the rotation? Has Steven Kolek dropped off, or is he going to continue to dominate? Maybe not as well as he did on Saturday, but is he going to continue to pitch well enough that you're happy with your rotation? We talked about the bullpen earlier, Wandy Peralta in particular, Sean Reynolds. Are there some concerns on the back end of the bullpen? Sure, but those guys, as of right now, you're not going to see them unless the game's kind of out of hand.
Interestingly, Kevin Acee in his newsletter this morning, his Padres Daily, speculated, and I don't think this is anything the Padres have necessarily told him, but when Yu Darvish returns, and that could be, in just over a week or so, if the rehab start goes well, he thinks the Padres may go with a 6-man rotation for at least the time being, because after next Monday, they have an off day Thursday, another one on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they have a stretch of a pretty long stretch, at least 9 in a row. And to keep everybody going kind of on the more 5 days of rest rather than 4 days of rest, that would be a spot where you could actually have both Randy Vasquez and Steven Kolek remain in the rotation. You could option back a Sean Reynolds for the time being, get him some more work in AAA, and just go with a 6-man rotation. Hey, given how Steven Kolek has pitched, I don't think we've seen the Padres recently not need every reliever a lot of days. They go a long time between using some of their back end guys. Yuki Matsui disappeared for 2 weeks He's come back and he hasn't given up like a hit in his last 6 appearances. And they barely have enough spots to use him. So
Right.
I think you can get away with a 7-man bullpen, a 6-man starting rotation, and then you hit June, you really have a long stretch. So you may, for a month and a half, even consider, if everybody's healthy, sticking with a 6-man rotation. And then whoever's the hottest guys, maybe in the second half of the season, you move forward with your best 5. But you give them all a few more starts to see what they can do. Because I wouldn't take Randy Vasquez or Steven Kolek out right now.
I'm looking at the schedule. It gets gnarly. So, yeah, we got the 3 games this week against the Angels, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Off day, Thursday. 3 games against Seattle here at home. Then you got the off day on Monday before you start a 2-city road trip. But it's going to be 9 straight games, Toronto, Atlanta, and then back home to take on the Marlins on Memorial Day. Then you have a day off. Then you have 13 straight, Pittsburgh, San Francisco, Milwaukee, and the Dodgers. Then you have a day off, and then another 13 straight after that. Now you're almost through the end of June.
Yeah, 6-man if you can swing it. If enough guys stay healthy, I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin is right and the Padres will try to keep everybody up along with you, Darvish, when he does return. Speaking of the Dodgers, they split their 4 games over the weekend with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Dodgers won yesterday as Freddie Freeman put together a 4-for-4 with a home run and 3 runs batted in. Mentioned earlier, though, the Giants got swept by the Minnesota Twins. First real bad series of the year for the Giants. The Twins scored 2 in the 10th, walked it off on the Deshaun Kiersey Jr. single in the bottom of the 10th inning to win it 7-6. Elsewhere in baseball,
first time in a while, real quick, while we're staying on the NL West, first time in a while we've started to see a little bit of separation, just a little bit.
Tiny.
I mean, just a window, but I mean, these teams have been like within a game and a half for a while now, and you have the Padres 1 game back of the Dodgers. The Giants are 3 games back, and the Diamondbacks have fallen, a little regression to the mean there. They are now 6 games back.
Yeah, they're fine, though. I mean, they split with they can't be unhappy with splitting 4 against the Dodgers, even at home. It wasn't a bad series. Diamondbacks are still a good team.
I agree.
Sunday Night Baseball, Zach Wheeler, a gem, 7 innings, 8 strikeouts. Phillies shut out the Guardians 3-0. The Mets and Cubs to a potential playoff type series. Mets won that series 2 out of 3. Francisco Lindor hit his 9th home run in a 6-2 win yesterday. And guess who just won a series with their new manager? The Pirates beat the Braves 4-3. They took 2 out of 3. Joey Bart, an infield grounder with the infield drawn in the bottom of the 9th inning for a walk-off winner as they beat the Braves 4-3. The Cardinals are red hot. They've won 8 straight. They beat the Nationals 6-1. Let's see, elsewhere in baseball, Orioles took 2 out of 3 in Anaheim over the Angels, and the Angels, of course, coming down to Petco Park tonight. Aaron Judge, 4 more hits yesterday. Yankees beat the A's 12-2 to win that series. Astros behind 11 strikeouts from Ronel Blanco in 8 innings, shut out the Reds 6-0. Mentioned the Rangers and Tigers, and do this. Rangers beat the Tigers 6-1 to win that series. Blue Jays beat the Mariners 9-1. Eric Lauer, former Padre, picking up the win in relief. A little look at what happened yesterday in Major League Baseball.
Former opening day starter for the San Diego Padres.
We still have our Roundel report coming up, and I do also want to mention something that happened this weekend. And Rosie Perez is still undefeated because sometimes when you tie, you actually lose. And that was the case for one of our teams this weekend. I'll mention that when we come back with Bennett Woods after a check of traffic here on 97.3 The Fan. First, though, for the traffic, I'm going to tell you about SDFatLoss.com. Summer is fast approaching. It felt summer-like on Saturday, but when it really gets hot in San Diego in July and August, wouldn't you like to already be done with your weight loss journey? You can be. If you start now, by the middle of July, you can be down 10 to 20% of your body weight. For me, that was 40 pounds in 60 days when I went through the program. You can follow my lead and lose up to a pound of fat per day with no drugs or injections and no need to buy any prepackaged meals, bars, shakes. No need to exercise either. SDFatLoss.com is a doctor-developed, easy-to-follow weight loss program. Helps you lose weight fast, naturally, and safely. And it's sustainable. I have kept the weight off for almost 2 years now. Thanks to the fact that it was based on eating stuff that I already ate, like steak and chicken. So much easier to keep going with that than just give up bars or give up injections and hope the weight stays off. It rarely works for people. This is something that you can say, hey, it's going to work, and I'm going to keep the weight off. Because what's the point of going through the pain of losing the weight if you're just going to gain it right back? You can right now take advantage of their spring special and get $200 off the program all throughout the month of May. Just sign up for your free consultation by going to sdfatloss.com. Find out how the program can work for you at sdfatloss.com. Results may vary.
Hey players, things are about to get real here in San Diego. Introducing the all-new Hamul Casino Resort. With a 200-room hotel tower, exciting new eats and drinks, plenty of new places to play, and a luxe spa and salon. Hello, rooftop pool and deck. It's where players can play their hearts out and enjoy all the perks that come with it. It gets real this summer at the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the players' place.
That's Gloria's wisdom comes from a basketball movie. But
One
honestly,
of my favorites.
Honestly, I think it applies even better to the world of soccer. When sometimes you win, you actually lose, and sometimes when you lose, you actually tie. Well, this weekend, the San Diego Wave tied, but it was actually a loss for the San Diego Wave. I don't know if you saw this, Paulie. This was as brutal.
I missed this entirely, so please.
This
fill
was
me in.
I don't know. This is as brutal as it gets. I was not watching the game. I only read the recap of this one. So they're playing the Portland Thorns. Always a thorn in their side, so to speak. They get a goal in the 7th minute from Kimi Asensio, 17-year-old score. So they're up 1-0 early in the game. And then they hold on to that lead. But then in the 41st minute, Kennedy Wesley, one of their defenders, draws a red card. Kind of a weak foul, but they show her the red card. So now they're playing 10-on-11 the rest of the match. They get to halftime still up 1-0. They do a great job. Kalen Sheridan, their goalkeeper, all-world from Canada, makes a bunch of good saves. And they have survived. They get to stoppage time. The ref puts up 5 minutes of stoppage time. All right, still 1-0. Get through the first minute. Get through the second minute. Get through the third minute. Get through the fourth minute. So now we're getting to the final minute.
Up 1-0.
Up 1-0. Still, they've been
Sorry,
holding on to this lead now for 88 minutes of soccer. It goes past the 5th minute. So now they're just waiting for the whistle.
Like the next dead.
It's just at any moment, the referee is going to hit the whistle and the game is over. They have survived 10-on-11. They have won it 1-0. Like 5 minutes and 20 seconds into 5 minutes of stoppage time.
Oh, my God.
Portland Thorns are in the penalty box. And a Wave player, I forget who it was, sticks her leg out a little bit. And the Portland Thorns player throws her arms up, goes flying through the air. Total flop. I mean, was it a foul? Was there contact? Yes, but it was majorly exaggerated. Blow the whistle. Penalty kick to end the game. They score, and then that's it. It's over. And it ends up a 1-1 draw. But it's when a tie is really a loss for the San Diego.
When you tie, you actually win or lose.
You lose. And that was how the Wave felt on Saturday as they tied, but they actually lost, where Portland feels like they actually won.
That is
brutal. It's as brutal as you're going to get
in
soccer.
I don't like
for that game. That was awful. So I just wanted to extend a little sympathy to the Wave and the Wave fans for what happened to them over the weekend.
Brutal.
With some Gloria wisdom thrown in.
I mean,
to the mix
seconds
right
away from 3 points.
Yes.
And you end up
then
splitting.
with just the 1 point.
Damn.
Not even 2. You get 1 point for the whole thing. The whole entire game. That was rough.
That is tough.
All right, we've got some tickets to give away. We got 2 VIP tickets, in fact, to the Front Row Card Show at the Town and Country Resort in Mission Valley, May 24th and 25th. It's a huge show with over 400 vendors of sports cards, Pokemon, comic books, autographs, and other collectibles. You can go to frontrowcardshow.com to get your own tickets. But the fourth caller right now at 833-288-0973 is going to win the 2 VIP tickets to the Front Row Card Show coming up in Mission Valley later this month. 833-288-0973. Call in now. And then we'll come back, and Paulie has some Michael Jordan news for us.
Wasn't expecting Michael
in the
Jordan
Rindle report
today.
Yes, some unexpected Jordan news this morning, and more coming up in our final segment of Ben Woods on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. GEGE 000-466. For a full list of games and rules, played at 7 Mile Casino. Visit 7milecasino.com.
Just talking about the soccer. That was a bad beat in soccer over the weekend. Occasionally that will happen at the card table as well. Hopefully you can lay a bad beat on someone else, though, when you head down to 7 Mile Casino in San Diego's best card room. It's only 7 minutes from downtown. You just hop on the 5 freeway, head down toward Chula Vista. You're getting off Bay Boulevard on the west side of the freeway, and you pull in. When you walk into 7 Mile Casino, you're going to see in front of you the tables, in front of you and to your right. You're going to see windows. It's open. It's airy. It's clean. It smells good in there. There are TVs all over the place. There's a great bar and restaurant, Sammy's, over to your left. You got friendly dealers who want to take care of you. You got good high-limit action for the serious card players. They're spreading real games of Texas Hold'em, California-style blackjack, whatever you're looking for. They've got it at 7 Mile Casino. You can enjoy yourself on their beautiful patio that overlooks San Diego Bay with views of Coronado and the boats going by. absolutely gorgeous, especially on a day like this. Would really be a phenomenal place to check it out. And it's one of the places you can get food 24/7 with the 24/7 players menu whenever you're hungry. 4 a.m., 3 p.m., no limited menus. They got the full 24/7 players menu with great items like Kung Pao chicken, Asian favorites, and more, all together at 7 Mile Casino. Check it out today. It's just 7 minutes from downtown.
Hey players, things are about to get real here in San Diego. Introducing the all-new Jamul Casino Resort. With a 200-room hotel tower, exciting new eats and drinks, plenty of new places to play, and a luxe spa and salon. Hello, rooftop pool and deck. It's where players can play their hearts out and enjoy all the perks that come with it. It gets real this summer at the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the players' place.
Richard in our chat is worried about Woodsy, who's out today because of his cluster headaches. Says in regards to Woods' cluster headaches, he should look into getting Botox injected on the areas where he gets the headaches. Botox is FDA approved to treat migraines. Could be paid for by insurance. I can't remember. Has Woods gotten Botox before? I feel like he may have admitted that he did that at some point.
I think he has.
Would like to see Woods with this constant surprised look on his face, the Botox.
Look like Tom Cruise.
Yes. I mean, I don't think if he thought it would fix it, I'm sure he would be willing to try it. He is always willing to experiment with remedies.
Yeah, this
that
is
are out there.
This is a new one for Woodsy, I think. I mean, maybe he's been dealing with it and he hasn't told us, but he has not mentioned anything about the
he must have had them.
headaches.
He must have had them before because he seemed like he knew what they were when he texted us this morning, what he was dealing with.
Sure.
So maybe it's been a while though since he's dealt with it. But hopefully he will be back tomorrow. We miss him today, obviously, on a Monday. Did have a fun show. Had plenty to discuss from over the weekend with the San Diego Padres and more. This hour of Ben and Woods is brought to you by Frozen Ropes San Diego. Hey, parents, here's a message from Coach Kurt at Frozen Ropes. Is your child 6 to 12 years old? Then Baseball Summer League is the perfect fit for your player. Starting June 16th through August 17th, Summer League includes 8 practices and 8 games. Just go to SanDiegoFrozenRopes.com. That's SanDiegoFrozenRopes.com. Padres and Angels tonight, opener of a 6-game homestand for your San Diego Padres. 6:40 first pitch. Sammy Levitt with our Eco Water SoCal Padres pregame show at 5:40. Michael King back on the mound with his 4-1 record and 2.22 ERA, a whip of under 1 at 0.99. After Nick Pavetta's bad start yesterday, Michael King moves up. I think he's now 4th in the NL in ERA. He'll be going up against Yusei Kikuchi, who, while he's 0-4 and his whip of 1.46 isn't great, his ERA at 3.83 is certainly not bad. He just has not gotten much help or run support from the Angels, who, after getting off to a decent start for the first 10 games, have been pretty awful. Not Rockies awful, but pretty bad. Of course, Mike Trout's been out with injuries. And, I don't know if we'll ever see Anthony Rendon again. So they are, again, missing
Probably
some of their
not.
key players. Logan O'Hoppe has been one of their better hitters for the team so far this season, leading in batting average. But Padres clearly another series where they should have the advantage, playing at home in front of the big crowds at Petco Park. This is one where you want to make sure you take the series and go for the sweep again. You're not going to get every single sweep, just like they didn't get against the Rockies, but they did get against the Pirates. That should be the goal, especially at home against a lower tier team like the Angels. You're going for the sweep. If you miss one and win the series, okay, fine. We can live with that. But that should be the goal every time when a team like this is coming into town. All right, let's check traffic last time, and then Paulie will talk about Michael Jordan and more in his Rindle Report next here on 97.3 The Fan.
From the 855 Get Ross Traffic Center, protecting San Diego after accidents or injury, here's Kelly Danick.
Got a few problems in the North County. Southbound 5 Coastline, stalled car right before Encinitas Boulevard. It's over to the right shoulder. Further south on the 5, right before Del Mar Heights Road, reports of some metal debris in middle lanes. Westbound 56 at the South 5 connector ramp, some trash debris on that transition. We also have a crash on the 43rd Street on-ramp to northbound 805. Couple cars involved in that. I'm Kelly Danick with Ben and Woods, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And get things started here with our today's edition of the Rindle Report.
Now tuned into the greatest.
Welcome to the Rindle Report with Paul Rindle.
Hi, Paul.
All right.
2 stories from the world of sports that we haven't gotten to yet.
We'll start off in Major League Baseball.
And 1 story that you didn't know you needed.
Are you laughing, biatch?
It's the Rindle Report
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
on 97.3 The Fan.
Are you ready to bless the mood? I need some help, please.
That was good.
Can I get a yeah? Oh, yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Good morning, Benjamin. Let's get right to the Michael Jordan news. I was not expecting to have too many headlines with him this morning, but we did have some breaking news. So NBC has picked up coverage of the NBA again starting next season. It's been oh God, what, 20 years probably since the NBA was on NBC?
Yeah, probably even more than that.
It's been a while. Being honest, yeah. I think to some pretty classic matchups back in the 90s and early 2000s with the NBC coverage, and so they're bringing everything back with NBC's coverage. You will hear "Round Ball Rock," one of the greatest sports anthems in my humble opinion.
Basketball, gimme the ball because I'm gonna dunk it.
I'd even be fine with that remix from
John
SNL.
Tesh.
Yeah. I love that song so much. So that you'll hear that, and part of their coverage on NBC is now going to have the GOAT. Michael Jordan is going to be a special contributor to NBC's coverage, and I don't know exactly yet what that's going to look like. I don't know that he's going to be like, it's not going to look like Inside the NBA where he's going to be on the desk every week or every day with some other analysts, but he is going to be a special contributor to the NBA coverage on NBC this fall.
I think Michael Jordan is going to be a miserable failure at this job. And I only say that because I want to inspire Michael Jordan to prove everybody wrong and be the greatest contributor in television history. Because
send that clip to him.
Nothing motivates Michael Jordan like people doubting him. There's reason to doubt him, though. He has never really, I can't remember him ever doing like the broadcaster thing. Right?
I don't remember him sitting down during a game or anything.
The documentary, obviously, he sat down for interviews and stuff, and he can be engaging, but he's never been opinionated. He's, in fact, actively avoided opinions most of his career. What was it? The Republicans buy shoes, too. He's
right.
Doesn't want to tick anybody off, so he's never really taken stands on anything. It's hard to be a solid television contributor today without at least going out on a limb on a few things.
But who knows more about the game than a guy like that?
Well,
can he be a good analyst? Can he be a Tom Brady type guy where it's like, hey man, he's the GOAT. You're going to listen to what he has to say, or is he going to kind of sit there like a bump on a log? I'm not sure.
Just because you're the GOAT playing does not always translate into being a good broadcaster.
We saw how it worked with the Jordan as an executive. It didn't go very well.
So we'll see. But again, few people doubting him. My guess is he will not want to make a fool of himself and will try to excel as he always does.
Biggest news in the NFL from over the weekend is that Derek Carr, quarterback for the Saints, is hanging him up. He announced his retirement from the NFL, was not able to recover from some injuries, and you looked at the writing on the wall. The Saints already kind of moving on, looking for their next quarterback of the future, but he decided to hang him up. And you know what? I thought he had a pretty good career. I really do. Derek Carr, good, not great, but he had the longevity in the NFL that you just don't see too often.
It surprises me though, because he was under a guaranteed deal with the Saints, and he could have, if he wanted. Now I know they're letting him keep his signing bonus and roster bonus, which is good. But if he had just stayed and said, "Hey, I'm hurt, I can't play, but I'll stick around and rehab and help some of the young quarterbacks," they would have had to pay him $30 million this year. Now they are not going to have to pay him $30 million. He's doing the Saints a giant solid by announcing his retirement when really he didn't have to. He's still going to have to rehab the shoulder if he wants to be able to, use it for the rest of his life.
Pick
He
up
can't,
his kids or something.
yeah, he can't just not do it. And he could have had the team facilities and the team trainers and
But
everything working on him.
It's a very different rehab process.
It is. But, you also be getting paid to do so. And now he won't be moving on to the next phase of his life in retirement. Now, what does this leave the Saints with quarterback wise? They
have Tyler Shaw as their rookie quarterback.
They drafted him out of Louisville in the second round.
They've got Spencer Rattler and Jake Hayner. That is your competition right now for the Saints quarterback position.
That is a very for a team that wasn't already headed in the wrong direction. That's a dicey situation. Now, maybe the strategy is, hey, if we have a really horrible year, we can draft a new quarterback next year and go for our franchise QB. I would say play the kid from Louisville as much as you can. If you've got something, then you probably still aren't going to win more than 6 games, but then you draft around him and get to some pieces and hopefully build for the future. And if not, well, you pull the plug and go in a different direction, or you can sign Aaron Rodgers and, try to squeeze a 9-8 season this year and, a wild card berth out of going the Aaron Rodgers route, because he hasn't officially signed with the Steelers. And
yeah,
I mean, he's still out
he's really
there.
just jerking
You
everybody
could trade
around.
for Kirk Cousins, but I don't know what that's just expensive and what that's going to do for you. So not sure what the Saints are going to do.
And then finally, I have a story here that is absolutely, now Woods would comment on this for sure, but this one is actually tailored to you, Ben. And it has to do with Daryl Hall. Hall and Oates.
Hall and Oates.
Yes. So Daryl Hall apparently has very strong feelings on the genre yacht rock.
Right.
How would you describe yacht rock?
I would describe yacht rock as easy listening, late 1970s, early 1980s. Kind of an easy listening rock that goes well with some white wine and sitting out on the dock, or for a nice cruise in San Diego Bay.
I would describe it as a playlist featuring at least a couple of songs from Hall and Oates.
Oh, well, I mean, their entire catalog fits almost right into the heart of the yacht rock oeuvre, or how do you say that word?
Well, it depends on who you ask, because if you're asking Daryl Hall of Hall and Oates, he says absolutely not. He called it, quote, an effing joke that he is lumped into yacht rock. He said that the people who invented the term, I can't really say what it is, what he said they are, but they're jerks, I guess. He says, I never understood it. It's just R&B with maybe some jazz in there.
It's not
mellow,
an insult.
It's mellow R&B. It's smooth R&B. I don't see what the yacht part is. He said people misjudged us because they couldn't label us. They always came up with all this kind of crap, soft rock and yacht rock and all this other nonsense. And none of it describes anything that I do, really.
It's
and
not.
I said, look, man, I don't think it's a knock either.
I don't think it's an insult.
You are what you are, though.
It's just a way that kind of fits a certain category of musical artists, and I'm very passionate in my love of specifically that yacht rock genre. It's
I don't
one of
mind
my
a little yacht rock
favorite
now and then.
satellite radio channels. I listen to yacht rock radio all the time.
It can fit the right vibe. It's good.
It's great, if you're running a business and you need to play it over the speakers. It's not going to offend anybody. It usually makes people feel pretty good when they're hearing it. It's not an insult. And Daryl Hall he has a lot of opinions that are unnecessary. Like, he was so mad that people would call them Hall and Oates.
Yeah.
When he just wanted to be called, we're Daryl Hall and John Oates. The name of the band is not Hall and Oates.
Yeah, it's like, buddy, I think you missed that train's pass.
But,
you've already...
but it rolls off the tongue. Hall and Oates. It sounds easy to say. It's not an insult that people are calling you Hall and Oates, but he's just, no, Daryl Hall and John Oates. No, we are not yacht rock. We are smooth R&B. Doesn't matter. No one's knocking you. No one's dissing you. You have
okay, guy,
unnecessarily strong opinions about these things.
I was like, wow, he's really pissed about this.
He really likes to get mad about a lot of stuff right now, which is not what yacht rock's supposed to be all about. Mellow man, Daryl, listen to some yacht rock, chill out a little bit, okay? It's fine. It's gonna be fine. Channel your own inner music. Mellow, easy. Just go easy, man.
No, I knew you'd actually be able to help out with that story on music there.
I'm not lying. I don't only listen to Maggie and Perloff. They're not on 24 hours a day. And I switched to a little MLB Network radio and a little PGA Tour radio as well, because first or second major of the year this week, PGA Championship is coming up. Xander Schauffele is your defending champion. They're playing at Quail Hollow in North Carolina this week. So I will get a little golf talk in at some point. And of course, today is one of the weirdly most dramatic non-sports events of the calendar. You know what it is, Paulie? The NBA draft lottery takes place tonight. Capture the flag. Whoever's ping pong balls come up and whoever has that last envelope will almost undoubtedly draft Cooper Flagg out of Duke, who is the prize pick from this year's draft lottery. I always think it's weird and awkward how they're standing there and it's in a quiet studio and then they open the envelope and the reaction. Televised. But I find it oddly compelling. I almost never miss the NBA draft lottery. I love watching those guys sit there really weirdly and just hope they can't do anything about it and just wait for their envelopes to be opened and find out if they won or like they did something good. No, you did something bad to be there. You are truly awful and you are now in the draft
one of the worst
lottery.
teams.
And if you win it, it just means you're awful and a little bit lucky at the same time. So we will see who ends
Do
up
you like
with
the lottery concept, or should it
I
be
do.
like the worst team?
No, I like the
gets
lottery
the best
concept.
draft.
I don't think you should ever be incentivized. You're already losing a ton. You should never be incentivized the last 3 weeks to lose even more than the other guys are losing.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
And I think a lottery keeps it kind of fair that way.
It's really bad luck when that worst team ends up getting totally screwed and they get like the 8th pick or something.
Yeah, the Colorado Rockies are going to earn the number 1 pick. And now that baseball, I believe, also has a lottery system, they may not get the number 1 pick. But yeah, for the most part,
still hope for you White Sox fans.
For the most part, you just don't. I don't think you want 4 teams all tanking all over each other. It actually impacts playoff races at the end of the year when you have a bunch of teams taking on tanking teams and other teams who are taking on playoff competitors. You want to make sure everybody kind of keeps playing hard as much as they can until the end of the season. Yeah. So don't incentivize losing at the end of regular seasons just to get a better draft pick. And I think the lotteries do somewhat help in that respect. All right, that is it for our program today. Braden Sopranich show is coming up next until 2 o'clock, and then you got most Gwen and Chris today until 5:40 with the Padres back home this week. You'll have more of a regular lineup, night games Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. So, and then no game on Thursday. So a fairly full lineup this week for everybody. Paulie, good job as always. Best wishes to Woodsy. Hope he feels better from his headaches, and we'll be back tomorrow morning. I'm Ben Higgins. Thank you, Tier 1s. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. right here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. So long, everybody.